We not only have an excellent game filled with tradition here in Cambridge, we've got some star power. 1969 Harvard grad Tommy Lee Jones played football here from 65 to 69. You recognize Kurt Warner. He has a son being recruited by Harvard, so he's taken in the game as well. We also have a perfect afternoon for football. Temperature in the mid-50s. As you can see, it's sunny. Pretty good warmth as well, and no wind. We are ready for all kinds of tradition, the 133rd playing of the game. Thanks for being along with us. Paul Burmeister alongside Ross Tucker. Anytime you have Harvard and Yale, you have tradition, you have history, but you look at the standings in the Ivy League and you realize today you've also got a lot of here and now meaning.
Yep, yet again, there will be a lot of scoreboard watching going on around the Ivy League as we have a chance for a three-way tie for the second consecutive year, which is pretty rare. We'll see what happens with Princeton. We'll see what happens with Penn throughout the day.
It's early, but it's hard to keep the Penn Quakers off the board. They lead against Cornell 7-0. We'll keep you up to date on all the important games here in the Ivy League. When it comes to Harvard quarterback Joe Viviano, your confidence in him, Ross, depends on if you look at his entire first year as a starter or if you just focus on those 3 picks he threw last week.
Right, he's had a couple games with some turnovers, but other than that, I think he's performed really well. If you look at the fact that he's already 11th in school history in total yards in a single season, and like a lot of these quarterbacks these days, Paul, he does it with his arm and his legs. He has shown tremendous touch, especially on fade patterns in the end zone. This throw last Friday night against Penn got Harvard back into the game and allowed them with a 2-point conversion to tie it, dropping it right in the basket to wide receiver Foster. But probably what he does best is run with the ball. I mean, he's 6'5", 220 pounds. It's not often that you see guys that big that move as well as he does.
His counterpart, true freshman Kurt Rawlings, was a high school senior at the Yale Bowl at the game last year. Today, he finds himself as the 3rd different starting quarterback Yale has used this year.
Yeah, a little different atmosphere, but he really came out and played extremely well the first time we saw him on Friday night against Columbia last month. He made his debut, and he showed off everything. How about the playmaking skills on this throw to fellow freshman Alan Lamar? Even the Harvard coaches told us this week that this kid Rawlings is just a gamer. Then only a freshman, showing the presence of mind to have a great play fake and then throwing the touchdown pass to Miles Gaines on a line drive. But it's not just the playmaking, it's not just the arm. Like a lot of these quarterbacks and like Viviano, Paul, he can run the ball extremely well as well. They're going to need to have a huge day from the freshman to win.
Rawlings and the Bulldogs looking to pull off the big upset in the 133rd game. Harvard head coach Tim Murphy looking for his 10th consecutive win in this series. On the other side of this break, he'll join our own Carolyn Mano. It's the game. Harvard and Yale coming right up. Beautiful afternoon. The sun is out, blue skies, no wind. We are getting you set for the game. 133 times they've done it. 132 times prior to this, and Yale on top in the series overall, but Harvard has a 9-game win streak in this series. Tim Murphy has been the head coach for all 9 of those wins. He's on the sideline right now with Carolyn Mano.
Well, thank you, Coach. As you look to clinch a share of the title for 4th consecutive years now, how do you think the team has responded from last week's loss to Penn?
We're ready to go. I mean, we're in the same position we were a year ago, same position we were in 2013. Must beat Yale for the Ivy Championship, so we're ready to go.
You've won this series 9 consecutive times, but you know better than anybody that Yale shows up to play, especially here. They have over the years. What has the message been to the team about keeping the distractions away and taking this team seriously?
Well, 9 in a row only makes it harder, not easier. It's going to be a grind. They know it. We're in it for the long haul today.
Best of luck. Thank you. Paul?
Carolyn, Tim, thank you. And Ross, I thought it was interesting when we talked to Tim during the week. I asked him, bigger motivation for you and your team coming up on Saturday, a piece of the conference title or beating Yale? And he didn't hesitate. He said, it's beating Yale.
Well, this is one of those games that, as they say, transcends the records. You know, it's a cliche to say throw the records out, but this is a game where if Yale wins, this makes their season. They're 2-7. If they win this one, these seniors, this team will be remembered for a long, long time as the ones that broke the streak.
All the frustrations, disappointments of this season for Yale would feel a long way away in that rearview mirror if they could find a way to win on the road against Harvard. Harvard, as we told you, top of the broadcast, playing along with Penn and along with Princeton for a piece of the Ivy League Conference Championship. It would be the 4th consecutive conference title for Harvard if they do win here this afternoon. Jason Alessi, defensive back for the Bulldogs, brings it out, met right at the 15-yard line, and the Harvard special teams setting the tone. Before we get a look at the Yale offense, let's have a glimpse at the Yale starting lineups presented by Raymond James.
Mason Friedline, really the best of the bunch up front. He's had a stellar senior year.
Yale offensive line, backs and receivers. Starting quarterback, Kurt Rawlings, the third quarterback to start. He has an excellent freshman tailback. Right next to him, number 5 to his left, is Alan Lamar. And Lamar with it right up the middle, dropped at the 16-yard line. And let's take a look now at the Harvard defense presented by Raymond James.
The strength of this defense is really their defensive line. James Duberg, fifth-year senior at defensive tackle, is a stud. The linebacker level, Luke Hutton leads the team in tackles so far this year. And on the back end, Tanner Lee, the safety, is extremely aggressive, has 4 interceptions on the season.
Play action, Rawlings under pressure and goes down. A Harvard defensive front without the help of a blitz comes up with a sack, and that's a loss of 4.
The strength of this Yale offense really is their offensive line. They slid the line to the left, and Mason Friedline got beat inside by James Duberg right away. That forced Rawlings to step up and to his right, where Langston Ward, the senior, was there to get his first sack in his last game.
And Ross, when we talked to Tony Reno, Yale head coach, during the week, the first thing he said when we asked about offensive priorities, said we have to avoid 3rd and long. First third down is 3rd and 13. Easy completion, but nowhere near a first down. The sack, really the signature part of that Harvard defensive start. And the punt unit comes out for Yale.
And to your point, Paul, Harvard plays a lot of really soft zone coverage. They let you catch things in front of them. So because of that, you're going to be 3rd and long. You have very little chance to drive the ball down the field when they drop back into their zone coverage. You have to stay out of those obvious passing situations.
Deep for Harvard. Dangerous option here for the Crimson. They don't even give him a chance. That's Justice Shelton Mosley, had over 100 yards in this game last year.
And there was a flag late, thrown all the way over on the Harvard sideline. While they're sorting this out, Paul, it's funny, I asked one of the Yale coaches if they were going to kick the ball to Justice Shelton Mosley today. He said, "What do you think?" That would be a negative.
3 touchdowns last year in the game. 2 receiving, 1 running. Always a threat in the return game.
During the kick, personal foul, blocking out of bounds on the receiving team. 15-yard penalty from the end of the kick, first down.
Still pretty good field position here for Tim Murphy, Joe Viviano, and the Harvard offense starting from their own 42-yard line. You watched them last week against Penn. Your impressions of watching the Crimson O?
Well, their offensive line dominated the game for the most part, with the exception of some stunts up front. I think it's a fair criticism that they probably should have run the ball even more than they did. And their offensive coordinator, Joel Lamb, acknowledged that when we spoke with him this week.
Charlie Booker right up the middle. Nothing going. That Yale defensive front right there. Gain of 2. Raymond James now presents the starting lineups for the Yale defense.
John Harubin had that big touchdown against Columbia. Darius Minora playing in his 40th and last game. He's the captain for the Bulldogs. And on the back end, Foye Oluokun is a big hitter. Had 12 solo tackles last week against Princeton. You don't see that very often.
Charlie Booker, who carried on their very first play, has it for a second consecutive time. Little space off the right side, but pulled down by Victor Igu. One of the veterans on the front 7 there for Yale, picks up 5.
This is what they did all game last week, Paul. It's the outside zone. They do a good job of stretching the defensive end, Marty Mesta, and Booker runs that play very well, puts them in these 3rd and short situations where really the whole playbook is available to them, including Viviano's legs.
Charlie Booker only played in the last 3 games, but has been the leading rusher in each of those 3. All 3 plays there going right to Charlie Booker. The third one good enough for a first down and a gain of 7. And Harvard now operating inside of Yale territory.
Not a good sign so far, Paul, that Yale is getting run on. That really needs to be the strength. You'll see this is more of an inside zone scheme, and an excellent job by the center. And that was Kyle Adams, who's getting the start as a senior, going up on the second level, blocking a linebacker. Harvard Crimson offensive line off to a good start.
Again back to Booker, and there's the Yale defensive front throwing Booker for a loss. Cal Mullen, big number 98 there.
He has had a terrific season. He leads the Bulldogs in sacks. You'll see him in the upper right of your screen, and he's going to go and pinch in. You'll see him pinch in and beat Max Rich inside there to get the tackle for loss. Rich took a little bit too much of an outside set, and Mullen just pinched in and beat him. That's a big TFL for Yale.
Mullen now 11 tackles for loss this season, leads the Bulldogs there. Samar Smith, his first carry. Interesting, Harvard has had 5 offensive plays, all 5 run plays. That one picks up 2.
I have a feeling that streak's about to end here on 3rd and a long 10, we'll call it. Might see Viviano go to the air for the first time. When he does, he has all kinds of weapons. Maybe the best tight end in the league, and 2 absolute speed merchants at wide receiver.
And going against a defense that's last in the Ivy League in pass efficiency defense, quarterbacks have completed 62%. And a touchdown to interception ratio of 4-1. They come through that time, though. The screen pass ineffective from the start to bring up 4th down and 10.
Pretty conservative play call, but if you look, Paul, it looked like they might have had something there. Although John Harubin, the defensive lineman, watch number 47 come down the line. He feels it. So even if Samar Smith catches that, Harubin probably either makes the play or slows down Smith enough that Harvard's not able to get the first down.
Big win for that Yale defense. Last in the Ivy in scoring D, coming up with a stop. On Harvard's first possession, though, Harvard's special teams unit can't do it much better than that. Wow. Pinning the Yale offense inside the 5-yard line. The 133rd playing of the game. It's early in the first quarter. We are scoreless in Cambridge. The week, Harvard and Yale, they both have the ball once. Scoreless, 10:27 left. And a lot on the line here, and also with Princeton and Penn. All 3 of these teams thinking about the conference title, and Penn leading Cornell right now in the first 14-6. Princeton and Dartmouth will kick it off in just a little bit.
And it's important, Paul, to remind the listeners that there are no tiebreakers in the Ivy League. If 3 teams finish 6-1, it's a 3-way tie for the championship.
Deshaun Salter in, and it's good for the Yale fans to see him in running the ball. Hasn't been able to do it as much as he wanted to this season, Ross.
No, he hasn't. Had a huge game earlier in the year against Lehigh. He was really their main running back a year ago, but like a lot of these Bulldogs, he has been beat up this year. They've had 41 guys start games this year in one 10-game college football season. Actually, 9 games coming into today.
Especially banged up at wide receiver and also running back, and maybe wide receiver even more so than running back.
4 tailbacks, 3 quarterbacks, and 3 different guys have started at left tackle for Yale.
And coaches don't like to use that as an excuse, but if you just glance at the standings and wonder what happened to Yale's record this year, a lot of it can be answered with some skill position injuries from start to finish. And that's a gain of 2 to bring up 3rd down here.
Well, as they say, Paul, it's no excuse, but it could be the reason. You know, I mean, it's not an excuse, but it's a pretty good reason. I mean, they're starting 5 and 6 freshmen on the offensive side of the ball. Very, very difficult to win at any level, especially here in the Ivy League. You know, the academic component is significant, and these kids are true freshmen, not redshirt freshmen.
Here's a manageable 3rd down. The first one was 3rd down and 13. It's now 3rd down and 5 for Kirk Rawlings. Plenty of time, stands in and finds his fellow freshman Reed Klubnik. First down, Bulldogs out to the 15-yard line.
You know, when you are the underdog, every first down is significant. Klubnik's just going to run off Rayshawn McGee, a little curl there. McGee giving him way too much room there. 3rd down, you can't just allow him to run a curl right at the sticks for an easy completion there. That's freshman to freshman. You'll see that quite a bit today.
Freshman leading wide receiver, freshman starting quarterback, and perhaps the best player in offense, the freshman tailback, is number 5, Alan Lamar. Right now, Deshaun Salter is in it back. Reed Klubnik again. Nice move to make the initial miss out to the 24-yard line. And that'll bring up 2nd down and 1. Let's check in now with Carolyn Manno.
Hey, Paul, well, you mentioned Tony Reno's offensive priority list. He told me before the game he really sees 3 things that they need to do. They have to control the turnover battle. They can't have negative plays. He said that's killed them in the past. And really, it's just very simple with the passing game. He said we've just been emphasizing throwing and catching the ball. We have to say between 60 and 65% when it comes to our completion percentage to make sure that we stay in this thing. But he mentioned, look, we're young. We've been bitten by injuries. We're also incredibly resilient. And I think we're seeing a little bit of that right now, Paul.
Carolyn, thank you. Alan Lamar around the left side. Another 1st down for the Bulldogs. And back to Carolyn's observations about the passing game, Ross, and the fact that Tony Reno was looking for 65%. Here's a look at Lamar coming around the left end. It's been difficult for the Yale quarterbacks to hit 50% this season, let alone 65.
Yeah, exactly, which is why they're going to have to play as well as they've played all season long. And so far this drive, pretty good indication. Rawlings keeping that ball in Lamar's belly just long enough that defensive end Langston Ward not able to make a play on the runner.
Alan Lamar back in up the middle, just crosses the 30-yard line. And that's a gain of 2. And when you think about the efficiency or lack thereof, Ross, with the Yale passing game this year, it's not just the completion percentage at or below 50. They've thrown more interceptions than touchdowns, a real benchmark. It really stands out as a red flag to tell you how much they've been struggling.
And again, that's a product of starting 3 different quarterbacks and really the last few games starting a true freshman at quarterback. You never by design want that to be the case within your program. Harvard seemingly starts a senior quarterback every year.
And just steps right in. Kurt Rawlings, though, has 3 consecutive completions. That one to his tight end, Leo Haney.
Just a quick out. You got to like the game plan so far for Yale. Fakes it to the running back, throws a quick out to the tight end. That held the linebackers. How many times have we already seen here in the first quarter? Rawlings starts with that play fake to Lamar just to make sure all those Harvard linebackers hold for an extra split second.
And 3rd down and 1. Yale converted 3rd down and 5 earlier on this drive. Alan Lamar to the left of Rawlings, now moving to his right. A bunch of 3 wide receivers to his left. Penalty just before the ball was snapped. Big difference, Ross, between 3rd and 1 and 3rd and 6.
Well, Rawlings thought they got it off, and looking at the sideline, Tony Reno was about to call a timeout, but both he and Joe Conlon, the offensive coordinator, thought they got it off in time, which is why they didn't take the timeout. They're frustrated because obviously they would have called timeout if they thought it was going to be a delayed game for the exact reason you just mentioned. 3rd and 1, the run game is a big component. Now 3rd and 6 is an obvious passing situation. We'll see if the Yale offensive line can hold up.
3 receiving options to his right and 1 to his left. And another flag comes out.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
And just like that, it's 3rd down and 11.
So when you're broadcasting the Harvard-Yale game and there's back-to-back delay games, there's a lot of academic jokes we could throw in right now.
I'll let you make them since you're our resident Ivy League grad.
Well, you went to Iowa. I'm pretty sure they've never had back-to-back delay games.
It hasn't happened very often, if at all. Public land grant school there. 3rd and 11 out of the backfield, and Alan Lamar was open. Rawlings thought he was going to keep running. Lamar thought he should stop, and it's 4th down.
Not exactly sure why Lamar stopped his route right there. You know, you're either supposed to run the wheel route down the sideline or you're supposed to stop in the flat. Lamar kind of did in between, and that makes it extremely difficult for the quarterback.
We talked a lot at the top of that series about injuries affecting Yale, and that was just
self-inflicted wounds.
A lack of execution. Back-to-back 5-yard penalties to turn 3rd down and 1 into 3rd down 11. And then the quarterback and the running back not being on that proverbial same page. Justice Shelton Mosley dropped right after he caught the ball. And for the Yale special teams, Matthew Opplinger was there right away. Now the Bulldog offense had it moving for a little bit. They stall. We'll check out the Harvard-O after this. 33rd playing of the game. Perfect afternoon. Temperature in the mid-50s, 0-0, and that is Joe Viviano, senior quarterback. He has waited his turn, Ross, broken bones. All conference quarterbacks all getting in the way of him finding his way to the playing field. His one and only time starting the game here today.
He's told us he's thought about and envisioned this game pretty much every day. Not often you get a highly touted quarterback recruit like Viviano, NC State, 20-some scholarship offers, came here to Harvard for the chance to play in this game and do things like this.
Thought he had something on the ground. Doesn't make it out past the 40-yard line, although that is a gain of 5.
This is one thing he does extremely well. Nice play fake, gets on the edge. Seems almost, watching him now for a couple games, Paul, he's most comfortable when he's out of the pocket, and it looks like he enjoys running more than anything else.
Ross, you mentioned that he had scholarship offers from the likes of North Carolina State, and as we get out on the field before the game and talk to these kids, I think people would be surprised if this is Samar Smith right up the middle for a Harvard first down. How many of these kids turn down some scholarship offers to have the Ivy League experience?
Oh, well, just you and I. Some of the guys we spoke with on the field before the game. Justice Shelton Mosley for Harvard, the wide receiver, number 17. Turned down scholarships to the likes of Cal and Northwestern. Sterling Struther, the freshman guard for Yale. There's a lot of guys playing in this game that turned down big-time FBS offers for the chance to go to one of these two institutions.
1st and 10 from the 50. Samar Smith cuts it up. And some hard running will get him out near that 46-yard line. And that'll bring up 2nd down and 6.
Yale really had their best defensive performance of the year a week ago, at least for 3.5 quarters against Princeton, until Princeton eventually just wore them down. But they did a really nice job stifling that dynamic Princeton offense, and so far so good today.
Didn't like it right or left, and gets up to the 45-yard line. And brought down by Marty Mesta.
There was nobody open. We were seeing the same thing Viviano was seeing, Paul, which was there was nowhere to throw with the football. That's actually a good decision by him to tuck it away and try to get some positive yardage. Credit the Yale secondary, who's had their issues this year, doing a really nice job there.
3rd down and 5. And this is Samar Smith with nowhere to go. Victor Egu there from his linebacker spot to make the play, and for the 2nd consecutive time, the Yale defense holds.
Egu has had a bunch of big hits this season. Take a look at Victor Egu right there. He's going to read this perfectly, scrape off the block, and just eat up Samar Smith. That's a mistake, by the way, in the blocking scheme. There's no inside zone scheme to the right where you don't block the play side linebacker. So looks to me like the right guard, right tackle, not on the same page with who is supposed to block number 10.
Jason Alessi back deep to receive. Fair catch. And the Yale offense will begin its 3rd series from its own 12-yard line. 2:39 left in the first quarter. We're waiting for the first score in the 133rd playing of the game. Welcome back to Cambridge. 2:39 left in the first quarter. Harvard and Yale scoreless. All kinds of history. They played it 132 times before. Famous tie back in the late 60s. And it continues, the final game each year for Harvard and Yale. You recognize that face. Ryan Fitzpatrick smiling, the quarterback, or one of the quarterbacks for the New York Jets. And Tommy Lee Jones played in the late 60s, graduated from Harvard in 1969, taking in a perfect day and checking out his alma mater playing the game.
He played in that famous Harvard beats Yale 29-29 game that they still talk about it. Played offensive guard. Look at that guy. That's a man right there.
That is old school.
That helmet and face mask is amazing.
Jersey, the pants. Late 60s football here in the Ivy League. Tommy Lee Jones enjoying an absolutely beautiful November afternoon, temperature in the mid-50s. And Kurt Rawlings, we saw this a lot the first time he came in, Ross, about a month ago against Columbia. Throws it pretty well, but is a serious threat to run it. Picks up 10 there.
Really good blocking on the edge as well. Usually when quarterback runs on the perimeter have success, you get some blocks. Alan Lamar got one. Miles Gaines, I'm ready to the receiver, gets a pancake at the end of that. You don't see that very often from a wide receiver.
And first down and 10 now. On that last drive, Rawlings had him moving, converting third downs. Drive eventually stalled. The first play of this drive, 10 yards for a first. Alan Lamar. Harvard front there. Right as he got to the 20, gain of 2. Let's check in again with Carolyn.
Hey, Paul and Russ. Well, as you may expect, after Yale's offense came off the field last time around, the offensive coaches were not yelling at them, but just, explaining to them, listen, we can't have 3rd and 1 opportunities that we can't convert on. We have to capitalize on things like that, which was a point that you were alluding to earlier, really emphasizing, listen, when we get those chances, we can't let them go.
Yeah, back-to-back penalties, Carolyn. 3rd down and 1, turned into 3rd down and 6, and then 3rd down and 11. And quick play action. Good job by the Harvard defense there. Wesley Augsbury breaks it up.
Augsbury extremely versatile. Was playing outside linebacker earlier in the season as a result of some injuries. Yeah, that's one of the dangers, Paul. If you just keep throwing the 3-step stuff and the underneath stuff, the Harvard defenders are going to really sit on that. Yale's going to have to threaten them vertically at some point to get them to back off a little bit.
3rd down and 8. Kurt Rawlings so far 4 out of 6. Harvard brings only 4 rushers. And the inaccuracy underneath brings up 4th down.
Even if he caught it, it would have been well short of the yard to gain because Harvard's linebackers drop back in that zone coverage like they always do. They were sitting at the sticks. You'll see the crossing pattern right in front of number 45, Chase Guillory, as well as Ryan. As soon as he caught it, the 2 linebackers were right there. It would have been very, very difficult for the freshman J.P. Shofie to be able to beat them up the field.
2 times Rawlings targeted Shofie on this drive. Both times incomplete. Almost blocked. The Harvard offense will once again start with pretty good field position. And we'll see if they, for the first time, can get the best of the Yale defense. Harvard almost had the ball this close to the Yale end zone. Late in the first. We're back to Cambridge right after this.
Harvard quarterback Joe Viviano has had a terrific season, but he did have a few mistakes last week against Penn that really hurt the Crimson. It's usually a product of him trying to do too much there as he scrambled. He just threw that one up for grabs. The second interception was really just a tremendous play by Louis Vecchio, the defensive lineman for Penn, who was slanting outside on a stunt and took that to the house. This is another one, though, a decision that you just can't make and a throw that you can't make. Viviano told us when we spoke with him this week, Paul, that he cannot make those mistakes. But he also said, look, I got to balance it out. I also make a lot of plays when I scramble and I'm on outside of the pocket as well.
Charlie Booker is tailback. And here he is trying to make something happen with his feet around the right side. Easy first down. Nice little first step there in the pocket by Viviano. 1st and 10 Crimson after a gain of 16.
You'll see at the tail end of this, this is just a design quarterback draw. Gets a good block from Charlie Booker. I think one of his receivers, Shelton Mosley, right there, also got away with a hold on Malcolm Dixon. Watch the right side of your screen here. Watch the defensive back try to leave, and his jersey gets grabbed by Shelton Mosley. But you know my saying, Paul, as a former offensive lineman, it's not a hold unless they call it.
That's a good way of looking at it because there's often holding that's not called inside. There's Charlie Booker. Brought down by Malcolm Dixon, gain of 3.
Speaking of Shelton Mosley and Adam Scott, these two dynamic receivers for Harvard, they haven't gotten the ball yet. They still haven't gotten the ball to their all-Ivy caliber tight end, Anthony Ferkser, either. They've been almost exclusively on the ground thus far.
Joel Lamb, offensive coordinator for Harvard, perhaps responding to those 3 interceptions we just saw with a conservative call to the first quarter. And there's the option pitch to Charlie Booker, and there's the Yale defense there to say, no, you don't. Bulldogs have been impressive on that side so far.
Second nice play of the game by Matt Opplinger, the junior linebacker from Del Barton in New Jersey. He has done a terrific job throughout his career. This time you'll see him run the alley, make the play on Booker, and Yale's defense has them playing well here at the end of the first quarter.
Bulldog defense coming to play here this afternoon. Not only the sun arriving for the game, a whole lot of D. We'll hit the second quarter right after this. Raymond James presents the Ivy League Game of the Week, 0-0, and there's a question presented to number 66. Will you go to prom with me? 66 is Jiho Chang. Looks like you might want to do that, right?
Do they have proms in college still?
That was my question for you. I thought maybe he left that behind. Well, either way, he got on TV, Ross. It's good for an offensive lineman.
Seems to me, Paul, like now would be a pretty good time for Harvard to take a shot deep. They've been very conservative thus far, running the ball over and over again. Might be prime time to take a shot deep down the field.
Yeah, this screams conservative, Ross. Viviano 0 for 1 passing so far, and that's it. Been a lot of Charlie Booker and a lot of Samar Smith on the ground, and really a whole lot of Yale defense coming through. There's his first completion. This is Adam Scott. Look at the quicks there as he crosses the 40-yard line. Brought down by Jason Alessi. But there's the first real positive from the Harvard passing game.
He is electric when he gets the ball in his hands. Gets 2 good blocks on the edge there and is able to almost break that. If Alessi doesn't make this tackle, look at Alessi playing safety now, running the alley and able to make that play. That's a great open field tackle.
Picks up 7. Does Adam Scott. Injured Yale Bulldog on the field. We'll identify the injured Bulldog when we come back after the break. The injured Yale Bulldog is number 2, Marquise Peggs, sophomore defensive back out of Chicago. You see him right there go down. And as we went to break, he remained on his back on the field. He has since been helped up and walked off the field under his own power. And there we go. Little hug from Tony Reno. And we certainly hope that Marquise Peggs is okay. There he is, the sophomore out of Chicago, continues to be on the sideline. As Harvard punts it away. And Jason Alessi, the acrobatic fair catch on the 5-yard line. And Ross and I were at the Yale Bowl a year ago. And it was pretty much all Harvard, a lot of passing offense, and really a lot of justice. Shelton Mosley was a freshman then. Number 17 had 3 touchdowns.
Pretty incredible. His first time playing in front of 50,000 people like that. And he lit up the Yale Bowl. Scotty Hoosh, Harvard's quarterback, had a nice day, but Justice Shelton Mosley making big play after big play. Harvard still has not gotten the ball in his hands offensively yet today.
And Joe Viviano only 1 completion so far to Adam Scott.
They've been very conservative thus far, have the Crimson.
Kirk Rawlings to the air right away. Reed Klubnik, freshman to freshman. And he did not come up with that catch. Klubnik, another one of the players here in this game that had multiple offers to go elsewhere. He's from Austin. Tony Reno said he went to meet with him a few times and thought he was going to go to Rice or to Houston, and couldn't get him to say a whole lot to him until he got down there a few times. They finally developed a bit of a dialogue, and
He said he wouldn't even talk to me.
Yeah. Told his parents, he said, I'm going to keep trying. Hopefully one of these times he'll talk back. 2nd down 10. And Rawlings looking in the direction of Shelfie, and there comes a late flag. Klubnik was right there. Shelfie was there.
Well, they were too close, Paul. There's no route where you're that close.
Pass interference on the defense. Number 40. 15-yard penalty. Automatic. 1st down.
Take another look at it. You got 2 freshman receivers within 1.5 yards of each other right there. Camargo, the outside linebacker, number 40, got a little handsy with Shelfie, and that's who they called the penalty on. You like that matchup if you're Yale, to have your receiver running down the seam against an outside linebacker like Camargo.
Penn now on top at Cornell, 21-13. We show that score because just like Harvard, they have 1 loss sitting atop the Ivy League. It is Princeton, it's Harvard, and it's Penn, all tied right now, and that's Alan Lamar. Not a great exchange there, but he finds a way to keep his feet. And in at quarterback is Trey Moore. Started 4 games the middle part of the year and kind of snuck in there, and Kurt Rawlings stepped aside.
Rawlings is still out there as a receiver. They bring in Trey Moore as kind of a wildcat quarterback, and that's one of the dangers when you do that. Although Moore and Lamar should be plenty comfortable and used to handing the ball to each other. Yale trying to give Harvard a different look, something they weren't expecting. They've got 2 quarterbacks in the game again on this play.
And Kurt Rawlings, the 2nd receiver, the slot receiver to the right of Moore. Moore going with the quarterback draw and going nowhere. Anthony Camargo making the play for the Crimson D.
Camargo making up for that pass interference he had. You'll see Camargo play an outside linebacker, and he does a really nice job reading the tight end. How about that change of direction there, Paul? Because he was dropping back into his zone coverage. He had eyes on John Lager, the tight end, but he read it, saw Trey Moore bounce outside to him, and was able to make that play.
Trey Moore steps off, and Kurt Rawlings back in at quarterback, facing a 3rd down and 5. At some point, the Yale offense needs to come through here, Ross, because the defense has done a great job so far. See if the Yale O can do it on 3rd and 5. Looking for Reed Klubnik, incomplete.
Decent amount of contact there again. Klubnik running what they call the 9 route, which is just a deep fly route down the sideline. Rawlings looked at him all the way, liked that he had man-to-man coverage out there. A pretty nice job by Ezekiel, the junior from San Diego, running stride for stride with Klubnik. Good no call.
You mentioned earlier, Ross, that Harvard's leading wide receiver, Justice Shelton Mosley, yet to touch the ball offensively. If Yale chooses to punt to him, he'll get a shot here. And there he is. Little hesitation. And nice job there by the Yale Bulldogs special teams. Defense and special teams doing their job so far. 12:58 left, no score in the game. Welcome back to Cambridge. Perfect afternoon. Yale and Harvard scoreless in the game. Carolyn Mano now to help us explore some parts of the tradition here outside of just the football field.
Yeah, Paul. Hey, well, I'm sorry to announce there's one important thing missing from the Yale sidelines this year. Handsome Dan, the 17th, otherwise known as Sherman, the lovable bulldog and the Yale mascot, passed away over the summer, so he's not here today. He's such a staple around the country and also on campus, but I'm happy to report that after a national search was conducted, they have found Handsome Dan, the 18th, and I think if you take a look at his picture, you can see just how handsome he is. He's a New Englander. He was born in Maine, but he was only born in September, so he's not here today. Dan is in official training to take over the reins and serve the sidelines dutifully, but really, really cute and handsome.
Very well done, Carolyn. I have one of those at home. An English Bulldog, not named Handsome Dan, but outstanding company. And we look forward to seeing Handsome Dan on the basketball court coming up this season. Samar Smith, the tailback, and right to the air, Viviano, and he takes it right back to the ground. First down, Harvard. picks up 12.
That is what he does extremely well. Once again, Yale really has a great understanding of Harvard's pass route combination so far. Viviano can't find anyone, but there's that much of a seam, he's going to take it. Yale needs to rush a little bit more muddle. And when you're going against a quarterback this athletic, you don't want to create such big seams.
We talked to offensive coordinator for Harvard during the week, Joel Lamb, about the 3 interceptions that Joe threw last week. He said he wants to get him off to a good, confident start. You can see that in the play calling. They haven't thrown the ball that much. This would just be, that's his 4th attempt. Tough try there, rolling out to his left, but it's been heavily favored on the ground here for Harvard so far. I'm wondering how much that has to do with the fact that he threw 3 picks last week.
That's part of it. You also have to think that the way they ran the ball against Penn last week, and I thought it was a fair critique that they probably should have run it even more. And Joel Lamb, their offensive coordinator, acknowledged that this week. He said, you know what, you're probably right.
That's when you asked him if he thought he should have run it even more. And that's Samar Smith. There's the Yale defense once again, limiting that to a gain of 3.
Hayden Carlson has been outstanding for the 2nd year in a row. Last year, number 26 led the Ivy League in tackles. This year he leads them in solo tackles per game. Also has 4 picks and 2 fumble recoveries. So he has been around the ball. When you have a free safety like that, making a play for a gain of 3, it just goes to show you that Yale is all geared up to stop the run. They're going to make Viviano beat him with his arm.
Harvard just 1 out of 4 on 3rd down so far in this game. Yale brings 4. Plenty of time for number 4. A little too much looking for Justice Shelton Mosley.
That's another one where it looked like Shelton Mosley slowed down on his route a little bit. Not sure whether or not he thought Viviano could get the ball there. The protection was excellent. Look at this Harvard offensive line. They kept the running back in. Viviano throws it deep to Shelton Mosley. Just before that, though, Shelton Mosley, looking at the top of your screen, he's going to throttle down just a little bit. That makes it so difficult for a quarterback if you're not running full speed. He's not sure how fast you're going to be running.
Short kick down at the 33-yard line. 11:25 left in the 2nd quarter. Yale, Harvard still scoreless. The Yale defense, Harvard is yet to score.
How about the front? Harvard has really been leaning on the run game so far, but the front of the Bulldogs, Kyle Mullen, Matt Opplinger, Victor Egu, the captain, Darius Minora, have all made plays up front. Even on screen passes, John Harubin has been right there. The longer this thing remains scoreless, the longer it's a defensive struggle, the better the Bulldogs are. Heavy underdogs in this game.
And consider what we have here. We talked about it at the start, Ross. It's a 2-7 team against a 7-2 team. Harvard playing for a share of the conference title. Yale comes in with 9 consecutive losses in this series. And the defense doing a terrific job. Kurt Rawlings, the quarterback here for Yale, looking for Reed Klubnik. A late flag coming in.
This might be a targeting foul.
I was going to say either unnecessary roughness or targeting foul against the Harvard D.
Rayshawn McGee, the corner, made a tremendous play, and then the safety, Kobe Brown, delivered the blow.
Personal foul. Defense, number 11, unnecessary roughness, 15 yards from the previous spot, automatic 1st down.
Kobe Brown, 15 yards, but not a targeting call.
He's
So
going back to the back judge to talk about it. Take another look at it. Number 7, Rayshawn McGee, makes a nice play, and then 11 comes in. And that's a heck of a helmet or shoulder right to the face mask chin area. Take one more shot at it. Ooh, that was the helmet right on the face mask there. He's lucky that wasn't targeting.
Deshaun Salter to the 48-yard line. And think about what the feeling must be on the Yale sideline right now. The way their season is gone. We had them a month ago, Ross, against Penn. At this point of the second quarter, they were down 28-0. And now it's 0-0. They're right there against their biggest rival in the final game of the season.
Rivalry games, you never know. They've lost 9 straight, but they are right in this one.
Salter again around the right side. A little more success that time. Going to be a yard short. Bring up 3rd and 1. Let's check in again with Carroll.
Paul, just quickly, you can absolutely feel that on the Yale sidelines. Head coach Tony Reno was extremely animated, running over to his defense, screaming at them, yeah, I'm so proud of you. It's a very positive feeling here as guys are encouraging each other and they realize the position they're in. Also, one quick note, corner number 2, Marquise Peggs, who was injured earlier, he's still on the sidelines wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses. He was evaluated. He is not going back in as of now. Paul?
Carolyn, thank you. 3rd down, a little less than a yard here for Kurt Rawlings. His tailback is Alan Lamar. Spin move, but not going to get him the 1st down. A Harvard defensive front there to meet Lamar right as he got the ball.
He lost yardage. That's one where Rawlings probably would have been better off if he pulled the football. That was a zone read. Rawlings is staring at the DN number 91 right there. But Doug Webb, the D tackle number 96, getting so much penetration, really forced Rawlings' hand. I still think Rawlings would have had a better shot if he pulled and tried to go outside the left edge.
Harvard defense, as we've been complimenting the Yale defense, also playing very, very well, continuing to give it right back to the offense. Justice Shelton Mosley with the fair catch. And we'll see now if Joel Lamb, the offensive coordinator for Harvard, will open it up a little bit more. He established that they want to be more about the ground game than the passing game. But at some point, you got to let Joe Viviano do a little bit more than he's done so far.
Well, the one thing that they've always done extremely well, Paul, is throw those quick smoke passes, those quick bubble screens out to the wide receivers when they have 2 tight ends to that set. And those guys have usually proven to be very dynamic in the open field just to get the ball in the perimeter quickly.
Viviano just 1 out of 3 for 6 yards. Play action to Booker. Nice pocket. And he's now 1 for 4, looking for his top wide receiver, Justice Shelton Mosley.
You know, the other thing, Paul, when you don't get a chance to really throw the ball all that much, it's hard to get into a rhythm.
Exactly, and it's not, as we watch here, Ross, it's not like the pass rush has been all over him so far. It's been much more about the fact he can't find an open receiver.
Yale's best bet, in fact, Paul, might be to make him throw from the pocket. Don't let him run. He's rushed for over 30 yards.
That's Charlie Booker. Just across the 20-yard line, so just 1 for 4 passing. Here's a look at Viviano running the ball.
This has really been Harvard's best offense so far today. So if you're Yale, on one hand, you might want to keep doing what you're doing. On the other hand, keep Viviano in the pocket, because when he's done this, that's when Harvard's gotten their biggest gains of the day so far.
3rd down and 7. Not much success for Harvard so far in these situations. Just 1 out of 4, converting 3rd into 1st today. There's the blitz, and throws it in the direction of Adam Scott. Credit the Yale rush, and once again, the Bulldog defense comes through.
And credit the Yale defense and Yale defensive coaching staff for an outstanding game plan so far. They were all over this. Even though Egu and Menorah came in there, look behind them. Hayden Carlson was right there. Jalen Alberg was right there. Seems like no matter where Viviano looks, there's 2 or 3 white jerseys.
Tim Murphy told us this week their defense looks like a Big Ten D physically. Front, middle, and the back. They just haven't played like it so far. And perhaps their best outing of the year so far. Fair catch by Jason Alessi. And with 8:45 left in the second quarter, battle of the defenses in the game. Back to Cambridge right after this. Kurt Warner wasn't a part of a whole lot of games like this with no points on the board. 8:45 left in the second quarter. Yale and Harvard in the game. Kurt taking it in for a reason here. His son being recruited by Harvard right now, so a little family trip, or at least part of the family. here for the game. Penn leading Cornell. Again, Penn tied. Also, Princeton tied with Harvard atop the Ivy League with just one loss. We'll keep you updated how Princeton and Penn are doing throughout, as all three are chasing the Ivy League title. Good to see Kurt there.
Starting to get the feeling here, Paul, that it's going to be a big play or a turnover. That could be the first score here. Both teams struggling to move the ball.
Rawlings sees a little daylight and a chance for a first down and then some. Kurt Rawlings with the acceleration well into Harvard territory for a Bulldog first down.
Eerily similar to what we've seen from Viviano a couple times. Nobody's open. Gets a nice block downfield by Candler Rich, the senior running back who's in the game. And Yale is in business. They have got to take advantage of this. And it might be on the legs of Rawlings how they do it.
26-yard pickup. Yale coming in 2-7 record, 9 consecutive losses to Harvard, and the offense trying to follow the suit of the defense, which has been terrific so far. And Ross, he may have heard you. The legs of Kurt Rawlings good for another first down. We do have a penalty marker on the 45-yard line.
This one's going to come back. It's going to be a hold, and that happens sometimes when the quarterback scrambles. You're not expecting it.
Holding. Offense, number 75. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Goes against Mason Friedline, really the best offensive line. Take a look at Friedline right here. He's the right guard. And watch when Rawlings scrambles. Friedline has a pretty good grab, but as he scrambles, right then, the defensive lineman Langston Ward tries to disengage, and that is why they were able to throw the holding penalty. You know, you're supposed to grab him, Paul. As an offensive lineman, you're taught to grab, get your hands inside, and that's not going to be called holding unless Rawlings takes off to run, and then you're restricting Langston Ward's movement.
Huge penalty. The Bulldogs would have been inside the 25-yard line of Harvard. Now they're back in their own territory. And that's Alan Lamar, who's been relatively quiet here so far for the Yale offense. Tim Murphy called him exceptional during the week. Picks up 6 right there.
Freshman from Mississippi. Not a lot of Mississippians in the Ivy League. He thought long and hard about going to the service academies. His father, member of the armed forces, but elected to come here to Yale, and boy are the Bulldogs happy. They have got a ton of exciting freshmen.
He led the state of Mississippi in rushing and also scoring his junior and senior seasons. Rawlings not going to make it across the 50-yard line. Dragged down there by DJ Bailey.
DJ Bailey leads the Harvard Crimson with 6 sacks. He's only a sophomore. He is talented. Take a look left side of your screen, and you'll just see the speed he has. Rawlings thought, I can outrun this. That is the biggest difference between college and high school right there. I don't think Rawlings went against very many 260-pound DNs that he couldn't outrun last year in Bel Air, Maryland.
And coming out of Bel Air, he also had some talks with schools outside the Ivy League. Drew some interest from UConn and Syracuse, but ended up here at Yale after talking to every single one of the Ivy League schools. Looking downfield for Reed Klubnik. And that is an almost, and it's an opportunity gotten away for the Yale offense.
And Kurt Rawlings getting up limping. He took a shot at the end of that thing. We'll take a look at the wide receiver first. Ezekiel, really good coverage there. Gets the right hand in. That is excellent. Now let's see what happened to Rawlings at the very tail end of it. You can't see it there, obviously. But Ezekiel, really a physically impressive corner. Talking with him on the field before the game. He is an economics major, so he's trying to figure out how he can use that degree back in San Diego.
Holding call took the Yale offense from inside the Harvard 25 back to their own territory. Really the major part of that drive. And the opportunity missed.
No flag on the play. First charge timeout for Yale. 30-second timeout.
They were about to get another delay game penalty, which is why Tony Reno called the timeout. You know, I'm not sure the 5 yards at that point of the field is that valuable. I might have taken the penalty there.
Any different than any other in his approach, his message during the week. Got to give him credit for how he handled it, because right now, Yale, a big story, the fact that they're tied with Harvard after their 2-7 season. Keep in mind, Harvard playing for a piece of the Ivy League championship. Harvard one loss so far in the Ivy League, just like Princeton and also just like Penn. Penn winning its game right now, and Princeton will take on Dartmouth. Penn is leading against Cornell late in the first half.
Penn actually went for a touchdown at the very tail end of the first half from the 2-yard line rather than going for the field goal, and they got it. Trey Solomon scored his second touchdown of the day for the Quakers to be up 28-13.
And Dartmouth with the early score against Princeton, first quarter. And the green on top of Ross Tucker's Tigers. Viviano looking deeper, just as Shelton Mosley. Jason Alessi, the side coverage. Second down 10.
A lot of hand fighting between those two right there. But probably a pretty good no call. Shelton Mosley not complaining about it. Looked like they were holding hands there for a split second. Alessi is some kind of athlete. We've talked about it earlier games that we've called on NBCSN. Plays lacrosse as well. The rare two-sport athlete in the Ivy League.
And that's not a misprint. Harvard with only 6 yards passing so far. Wow. It's Charlie Booker on the ground. Tim Murphy has won a lot of games here in 23 seasons, but hard to beat anybody with 6 passing yards at this point in the game.
Pretty nice hold there. Larry Allen Jr. gets a good block. And yes, that is Larry Allen's son, Hall of Fame offensive guard. He's one of the better offensive linemen in the Ivy League, only a junior.
All-time wins trails only the legendary Carm Koza. Looking to lead Harvard for a 4th consecutive Ivy League title. 3rd down and 5 now for Joe Viviano. Penalty marker thrown. The ball well underthrown. Was intended for Joseph Foster. We'll check in and see what the flag means there on the 28-yard line.
Personal foul. Hands to the face. Defense. Number 54. 15-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Yeah, the holding penalty against the offense that really negated the last drive. And now this keeps the drive alive for Harvard.
Julian Fraser, second from the top at the left. You'll see he's only a freshman. Watch his hands here. Gets up in the face mask of William Nichols, the right tackle. And that has been an area of emphasis the last couple of years. They're going to call that.
Ironic for Yale, the second least penalized team in the nation, with big penalties on offense and defense. And there's a wide open Adam Scott inside the 30-yard line. Easily the best passing play for Harvard so far.
A lot of room there in between that zone coverage between the linebackers and the safeties. The fake held the linebackers just enough that Quentin Herbert, 42, not able to get deep, and Hayden Carlson late to get over there. It all started with protection. Viviano's had pretty much all day.
And now Charlie Booker around the right side. No flags. Touchdown, Harvard.
That defended almost perfectly. In fact, pretty much too good. And that's what enabled Booker to bounce outside, because it was a stone wall he ran into initially.
Extra point is good. Charlie Booker with his second rushing touchdown of the season. And what a difference a couple of minutes can make, Ross. A 15-yard penalty, followed by a 28-yard pass and this 17-yard touchdown run by Charlie Booker.
Yale had it defended pretty well, but when Booker initially went inside, you can see not one, but 2 Yale defenders got caught up inside when he bounced it outside.
Good presence of mind there by Booker. Right there, he bounces it back outside. And neither Menorah or Oluokun were there to be able to make the play.
3 plays ago, the Bulldog defense thought it had produced another punting situation. But the 15-yard penalty, and then the big passing hookup from Viviano to Scott for 28 yards, and Charlie Booker with a little patience and a vision around that right side. And it's 7-0. Tim Murphy got to be at least a little bit relieved. Finally, 7 points on the board as he looks for his 10th consecutive win against Yale. Here's Jason Alessi. Good hard running by the defensive back out to the 32-yard line. There was a big passing play, a nice touchdown run, but the yellow flag had a lot to do with setting it up. Led to the 28-yard pass and then the 17-yard rush by Charlie Booker that ended up in the end zone.
Yeah, take a look right now. Freeze it right there if you can. And you'll see 2 Yale defenders, both of whom could have been outside. They tried to get into the pile where everybody else was. And that's a couple of seniors. Oluokun and Menorah, a little overexcited. At least one of them needs to stay outside in case he bounces outside like he did.
See if the Yale offense can follow up there. Kurt Rawlings will have a first down again. Dives to the 40-yard line. The legs of Kurt Rawlings becoming the best part of the Yale offense. Excellent way to start that drive.
Remember, last Yale drive, Rawlings limped off at the end of it. Looks like they've taped up that ankle a little bit more. Good fake, faked out everybody. Not quite running as fast as he was earlier in the game.
Rawlings picks up 28 yards. Now gives it to another freshman, Alan Lamar, and he's got the left side. Almost had the left side. What a tackle by Colby Brown. Late penalty marker comes in.
If Colby Brown didn't make that tackle, Lamar was going to take that to the house, eerily similar to the Booker touchdown.
Holding. Offense. Number 83. 10-yard penalty. First down.
2 drives in a row. 10-yard penalties for holding against Yale.
Robert Clemens has been extremely aggressive blocking all game. I've been watching him, and he has been wearing out the Harvard defensive backs. Really like and appreciate his aggressiveness. Take a look right there at the top of your screen. You can see him working against Wesley Ogsbury. And just that left hand on the outside is what they called. There's always that fine line between aggression and being smart.
Like the Harvard offense, the Yale offense, to be complete here, really needs to find something through the air. Rawlings with some time. There it is. Shelfie down to the 25-yard line. First down, Bulldogs.
If it's that easy, Paul, for you to just call for it and it happens, maybe you should say it again on this play. They need to make something happen in the passing game. Ask and you shall receive. Just a post pattern inside of the safeties. Rawlings on the money. He's been impressive so far for a freshman playing in his first game.
Shelfie picks up 21, first down and 10 from the 25. Shelfie again. Just inside the 20-yard line, gain of 3. Good response for the Yale offense after the Harvard offense scored for the first time on its last drive.
You can't possibly run those bubble screens too much in my mind. That's a solid 4 or 5 yards there. And if he makes Tanner Lee miss, you know, he's going to get even more yardage. Even when those plays don't get big gains, they're still very positive plays.
Second down 5. Always a favorite for an offensive coordinator to call. Ross, I think they heard you right there. Although that one didn't work. Bubble screen to the left. And there's Brown again. Colby Brown, sure tackling. Keeps that to a gain of 2.
Miles Gaines not able to make one guy miss. Colby Brown
sizing him up in the middle of the field, and you wonder if this is 4-down territory for the Bulldogs.
3rd down and 3. Alan Lamar, the tailback to the left of Rawlings. Looking left the entire time. Caught the ball, but did so out of bounds to bring up 4th down.
Rawlings was a little late on the throw. He was looking all the way at Logger, the tight end. Didn't throw it till he was almost all the way out of bounds, and Logger just not quite able to get that in.
You wondered if it was 4-down territory, 4th down and 3. And Yale going for it. Wow! What a call. Could have been a touchdown, but they'll take 1st and goal inside the 5.
Not a great throw at all, but it worked. These are the type of plays you run in the game.
Nice job by Leo Haney coming back to catch that one. Not an easy grab.
Andrew Johnson, the holder, did a nice job throwing the ball, or at least faking it. The throw left a little bit to be desired, but it worked.
Sometimes you see somebody so open, it's tough to really let it go. Bottom line, though, 1st down and goal now for Yale. Alan Lamar picks up 1 as we approach the 1-minute mark of the 1st half. What a response by this Yale offense. We talked most of the 1st half, Ross, about what a victory it would be for them to remain close at 0-0. They fall down 7-0, and now an excellent chance to tie it, looking to end a 9-game losing streak against Harvard and finish the season the right way. It's been a 2-7 years so far. To the end zone, incomplete, late flag. J.P. Schaffey knew it all along. He was interfered with, and now it'll be 1st and goal again.
Probably a gamble worth taking right there. And it's only half the distance. They get 1st and goal, but there's only 34 seconds left, rather than just giving up the easy touchdown in the slant.
Pass interference. Defense, number 10. By rule, the ball is placed at the spot at the 1-yard line. Automatic 1st down.
You know, 5 or 6 more pass interference penalties and they'll be halftime. That could be one strategy there. Keep an eye on Rawlings and his ability to run, whether it's read option or some type of sprint out here to the right side.
Great look at the crowd. 31,662 official sellout for the game. To the air once again. Wanted J.P. Schaffey, overshot him to bring up 2nd down.
That's a little surprising. That is a low percentage throw right there. With his athletic ability, you'd like to see something where Rawlings has a run-pass option. Maybe you can dump the ball to Alan Lamar or one of these receivers.
Look at what they've done in the red zone. Amazing. Inside 27 times, they've scored 26. Desperately wanting that touchdown now to tie it up. There's Alan Lamar. Touchdown, Yale.
Great blocking on the right side. Bo Iverson, the right tackle, the center, Karl Marbach, both pull. And then how about Sebastian Little at the point of attack, the tight end, with the key block there. Marbach, the center who pulled, didn't even need to block anybody. Great job by the Yale offensive line.
The 4th down conversion. Johnson, the holder right now, found Haney with an excellent comeback catch there to set up 1st down and goal. Alan Lamar, the extra point, and we are all tied at 7 with 27 seconds left in the half.
We talked about it all week. For whatever reason, when the game's in Yale, Harvard has really had the better of it, and they've been blowouts. Every time it's here, it's a close game, and it was the trick play on 4th down that the Crimson were not ready for. And then look at the blocking by both tight ends there. Haney and Little getting it done for about as easy of a touchdown as you'll see.
Fantastic catch by Haney to keep that drive alive on that 4th down, coming back for that ball. Coming up on the... Kurt Rawlings, the quarterback for Yale, but a nice blend of running, called runs, and also scrambling just enough in the passing game, especially on that last drive. Leading to the Allen Lamar touchdown. And Harvard will begin on its own 24-yard line, 22 seconds left. What's the game plan here, Ross?
My guess is they'll just take a knee. Sometimes what you do here, Paul, is 1st down, you throw a screen or a wide receiver screen, and hey, if you bust one and get 15, 20 yards, then maybe you try to get into field goal range, but it doesn't look like Harvard's going to take that route.
Official sellout crowd of over 31,000 on a perfect sunny afternoon in Cambridge. Temperature in the mid-50s, light breeze, and we've got ourselves a ball game in the 133rd playing of the game. A lot of defense and just enough offense, and we are all tied at halftime at 7. Harvard started the scoring. Charlie Booker didn't like it up the middle, but liked it a lot around the right side. And Harvard led 7-0, but Allen Lamar answers for Yale. It's halftime in the game, and we are all tied. We would have in the 133rd playing of the game. Sunshine and 7-7 tie between Yale and Harvard. Thanks for coming back with us. Paul Burmeister alongside Ross Tucker. Big victory by Yale to have a 7-7 game. They were 2-7 coming into this game.
Yeah, the longer they can stay in this game, the better. Their defense has played extremely well here in the first half.
And the defense and also the offense, just enough offense at the end, but Joe Viviano finding it tough going for the most part.
Well, really, all the highlights in this game were on the last 2 drives. Julian Frazier, left side of your screen. That was a key penalty right there, Paul, that kept Harvard's drive alive. And then Charlie Booker able to bounce it outside through the back door to get the first touchdown of the day in Harvard's last drive. Then Yale came right back at him. Kurt Rawlings has done the job so far on the ground. He's also done it on the air, finding Schauffe, the freshman receiver. The key play there, though, the fake field goal. Leo Haney coming back to being able to make that catch. And then the easy touchdown for Allen Lamar tied us up at halftime here in the game.
Halftime stats, not a lot of offense, not a lot of big numbers as you would expect when it's 7-7. Really, the defenses so far have been the star.
Absolutely, except, Paul, those last 2 drives were both touchdowns. So maybe that will show us what the second half will be like if they can keep that going.
Carolyn Mano with the head coach of Yale, Tony Reno.
Coach, your defense set the tone and your offense was able to answer there on that last drive. How would you assess the way that you played in the first half of this game?
You know, we put it to the kids to play fast, physical, and aggressive, and I think they really are. I mean, obviously we had a breakdown in the secondary on the pass play that led up to the scoring drive, but for the most part playing well. We didn't make some corrections and come out the second half and have the same intensity.
We know what can happen in this rivalry. You've been in a position before. You've been playing well heading into the half. What will you tell your team to keep them focused and motivated to not lose this as you head into the second half?
Sure, it's stay in process, stay in the play. Don't worry about the next play or the play previously, stay in the play.
All right, thank you. Best of luck in the second half. Paul?
Carolyn, Tony, thank you. All tied at 7, third quarter of the game coming right up.
This has been the gut.
Paul Burmeister, Ross Tucker in the booth and on the field. Let's check in now with Carolyn Mano.
Paul, thank you, Coach. What adjustments will you try to make in the second half of this game?
Well, we got to open up a little bit offensively, make a few more plays down the field, and we got to get off the field defensively. We played well defensively, but they have moved the ball.
How much balance will we see between the run game and the passing game in the second half?
A lot of balance. We just need a few more explosive plays.
Coach, thank you. Paul?
Carolyn, Tim, thank you. A few more explosive plays. Looking for an offense for Harvard. A reminder what's happening in the Ivy League final weekend of play. Harvard, Penn, and Princeton all thinking about claiming a part of the conference title. They can do so with wins. Penn playing against Cornell, and Dartmouth and Princeton also going at it. You see Penn in control right now, 35-13 in the third quarter. Dartmouth surprising Princeton right now on top, 14-7. Lost that game at Princeton.
Princeton has really had their struggles with Dartmouth. They haven't beat them in the last 3 or 4 years.
Charlie Booker with a late second quarter touchdown for Harvard. Alan Lamar responded inside that final minute with a touchdown for Yale. Onside kick to start. Executed perfectly.
Special teams.
Wow. Blake Horn kicking it perfectly to himself.
Harvard was not ready for it. Look, they're all 14 yards deep and they start backpedaling immediately. Credit Yale for not giving it away and having the guts to call it. You can see those middle guys on the kickoff team, they were ready for it. What a play.
I'll give you the guts to call it. How about the patience for young Blake Horn to wait until the right time to touch it? Had to let it go 10 yards. It went 10.5 and he was all over it. Now this is Trey Moore starting at quarterback. The give to Klubnik. So that was Moore to Rawlings to Klubnik, who played quarterback through his sophomore year in high school at Westlake High in Austin. And that one didn't work at second down 10.
They're breaking out all the tricks here. We had the fake field goal, the onside kick. Now you have quarterback to running back to wide receiver who tries to throw it to the other quarterback.
Man, oh man, just a non-traditional ho-hum start here to the second half here. Second down 10 now. Rawlings back in at his traditional quarterback spot. And here's Alan Lamar across the 45-yard line. Gain of 6 to bring up third down and 4.
Really nice second down gain there by this Yale offensive line. That was the same play they scored the touchdown on at the end of the first half. Yale offensive line starting to wear on the Crimson defenders a little bit.
So impressed by Yale with the way they responded. That 7-0 deficit came right back and scored. That nice 4th down and 3 conversion, now facing 3rd and 5. Rawlings with time. Alan Lamar going to have to make some Crimson defenders miss. Late flag in. Going to be a face mask.
Terrific patience by Rawlings. He didn't see anything downfield. Finally just threw the ball out to Lamar. His check down.
Personal foul. Face mask. Defense. Number 45. 15-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Take another look at it. You'll see Rawlings. He's looking downfield. Nothing. Doesn't panic. Throws it out to Lamar. And that's a tough open field tackle by Chase Guillory, number 45. And he knew it right away that he got a piece of the face mask.
Alan Lamar out for the time being at tailback. This is Deshaun Salter to the left of Rawlings on 1st and 10 from the 28. Rawlings just 7 out of 15 in that first half. Looking for a completion here. That's Reed Klubnik. Penalty marker comes in. He caught it anyway. Touchdown Yale.
Pass interference on the defense. Number 7. Penalties declined. Result of the play, the touchdown.
Wow.
Klubnik is fired up and he should be watched. There's contact there. He goes up and just that left foot got down. College football, you only need one. Left foot gets down, right foot comes out of bounds. It doesn't matter. Touchdown Yale.
Klubnik with his second receiving touchdown of his freshman season. Yale with the touchdown on its final drive of the first half and also its first drive of the second half. And looking at that 9-game losing streak against Harvard, Yale now with a 7-point lead on the road.
What a series for Yale. It starts with the onside kick to start the second half. You have to do things like that when you're the underdog. Then Rawlings goes deep, and his fellow freshman Klubnik goes up to make the huge touchdown catch for the Bulldogs.
Early in the third quarter, Bulldogs up by 7. Came to play in the game, back-to-back touchdown drives, and the most recent one, a touchdown from Kurt Rawlings to Reed Klubnik. 14-7, Yale on top of Harvard. Paul Burmeister and Ross Tucker in the booth. Happy to be joined by Kurt Warner. You've seen him take it in the game throughout the broadcast. Kurt, thanks for spending some time here with us.
Oh, you bet. Great to be here.
Before we talk a little football, start by telling us what exactly you are doing here at the game here this week.
Well, actually, my son, a senior in high school, is actually being recruited by a number of schools across the country, but actually by both of these schools playing today. So we thought, what better opportunity to come out and see what Ivy League football is all about than to come to the game and watch Harvard versus Yale.
Quarterback?
No, he's not. He's a wide receiver, actually. So, yeah, he set the state record with receptions in the state of Arizona over his career, and now trying to find a college home.
I guess you needed somebody to throw the ball to in the backyard, right? He had no chance but to become a receiver.
Short kickoff.
Live ball.
And Shelton Mosley wisely grabs that one, and the momentum continues to favor Yale. Nice job by the special teams. How much influence do you have here at this point of the recruiting season for your son? Is it pats on the back, we're proud of you, or are you really trying to guide him?
Last week to watch the Michigan-Iowa game, so got to see that football experience. Nice. So it's really going to come down to what he wants out of his 4 years of college, and we'll try to push him a little bit, but I'm not sure how much.
Harvard did score on the last time they had a drive. They actually took a knee the last time, but the last real drive ended up in the end zone. Completion for Viviano to start out the second half here. And once again, Ross and I joined by Kurt Warner in the booth.
And Kurt, you've been on both sides of big-time games where you were an underdog or a heavy favorite. And the last thing you want if you're Harvard is to let Yale stick around like this and have a lead, because now those guys believe.
Well, and you see a team like Yale pulling out all the stops, right? They have nothing to lose, so they're going to do the onside kicks and try a little everything.
Inside give to Adam Scott around the right side, run out of bounds to bring up third down. So you mentioned your son is being looked at by both schools. I know you're watching through the lens of an ex-quarterback to what you see from these offenses. Since Harvard has the ball right now, Ross and I talked about how conservative they were to start. What have you seen from that side?
Well, I see that as well. You know, as a quarterback, I'd like to see a lot more throwing the football. But, you know, different strokes for different folks in regards to that. And, you know, you've seen some good things. I ran into Ryan Fitzpatrick, who was a Harvard grad, and said he's seen this offense completely on the opposite side of things, throwing it around, but running it a little bit more today.
Third down and 5 coming up now for Viviano. The Bulldogs bring the blitz. Still plenty of time looking downfield. Anthony Ferkser. First time he's touched the ball. Big gain, Crimson. First down inside of Yale territory.
The last 3 Harvard tight ends have all gone to the NFL, and Ferkser's the next one who at a minimum will get a shot. It's a deep post route. How many tight ends, Kurt, can run patterns like that against a safety athletic like Alessi and get a big gain?
Well, you're right, and they use him more as like an H-back, so they have him in the backfield, they have him running routes on the outside. A lot of different things, and versatility is the key. 98
career catches now for Ferkser. Over 1,600 career receiving yards. And Viviano in trouble. Dropped that time by Rubin at the 46-yard line.
That play was doomed from the start. They were looking to run the fake bubble screen, but a couple of the Harvard receivers tripped over each other. Viviano had pretty much no choice but to eat that one.
Kurt, you spend so much time, well, first of all, playing in the NFL, but now watching and evaluating the NFL, both on the radio and also for NFL media. What do you notice when you watch college quarterbacks play against the defense?
I think the biggest thing is the spread offense has really taken away the ability of a lot of these quarterbacks, or teaching them how to read coverages and get the ball out on time. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of young quarterbacks, or quarterbacks in general in the National Football League, struggling.
Nice hit there by Hayden Carlson, leading tackler for Yale in each of the last 2 seasons.
What do you think of the overall level of talent, Kurt? I think sometimes people are surprised how many of these guys turn down FBS scholarship offers because of the chance to play at one of these schools.
Well, and you're seeing that more and more, is that, you know, before it was all about the BCS schools. Now, no matter where you play, if you're talented enough, you get opportunities to prove yourself at the next level. And I think that's one of the things we're trying to say to our son.
Third down and 8 now from the 41-yard line. Yale brings 4. And out of the backfield to Booker. And he doesn't get there. Darius Minora, the senior captain, playing in his 40th game, making the play.
That is really well done by Minora in the open field. He's more of a hammerhead linebacker. He's not great in space, but he read that, got out there, and was just able to throttle down enough to not let Booker make a quick move on him, and it looks like the Crimson are going to go. You always have to be aware of Viviano's legs as a quarterback. That might be what he does best.
4th down and 4. Gets rid of it quickly, and to Justice Shelton Mosley, a foot race to the end zone. It'll be 1st and goal Harvard from inside the 5. Quick release to Shelton Mosley, and he did the rest.
Well, that's kind of the double whammy right there. Way too soft a coverage on 4th and 4, and then a missed tackle as well compounds things. The Crimson are in business.
Justin Shelton Mosley here, Kurt, a talent we've talked about quite a bit. Had a number of offers to bigger schools, but chose to come here and play. And sets up his team now 1st and goal from the 2-yard line. Charlie Booker puts his head down, fighting, and gets inside the 1. But that's it.
You know, Kurt, you talk about college football. It just seems so often they just throw the quick bubble screens, the quick smoke screens. But, you know, I feel like in the NFL you're seeing more and more of that, too.
And I think you are, just because of the training ground for a lot of these quarterbacks. That's really what they've come to know. They haven't really been taught how to play the game. And you've got some great athletes playing the quarterback position now in the NFL, whereas 10, 15 years ago, Paul, it was more the non-athletes that were playing the position.
Charlie Booker again, and once again the Yale defense is there.
This is a very prideful Yale defense. Veteran-laden, and a terrific job by the defensive line and the linebackers to stuff that. Curious to see whether or not Joel Lamb, the Harvard offensive coordinator, goes into the 3rd straight run or elects to throw. Still wouldn't be surprised if there's some type of run-pass option for Viviano.
Would you want to get outside the pocket here, Kurt, or just throw from inside?
Well, I mean, depending on your quarterback, if you give him an option to run because he's a good athlete, nothing wrong with getting him outside and making that a 3rd option.
And play action, and there's your Harvard touchdown. Ryan Halverson makes it a 1-point game. It didn't get him out of the pocket there, Kurt, but the play action certainly helped free him up.
Well, it's a play that you've seen numerous times today where they bring a little bubble, you know, the receiver back to the back, looking like a little jet sweep, fake it to him, hand it to the other guy. There they fake to both of those guys and just leak the tight end out over the top.
You almost can't be right if you're the outside linebacker there, because if you don't come up on the jet sweep, you're in trouble. How can you do both? It's tough.
Ross, you told us during the week, every time this game is played in this stadium, no matter the records, it's close. And here we are, all tied at 14. Viviano to Halverson. Extra point made it 14 all. Joe Viviano to Ryan Halverson, touchdown a moment ago. Extra point made it 14-14 in the game. Harvard offense really showed up here. It started Viviano to Anthony Ferkser.
Ferkser really talented, and then this was the 4th down play with a big missed tackle. Shelton Mosley so explosive in the open field, then that fake jet sweep play action pass to the tight end. You want to talk about a play that puts a defender in a bind. That is not fun for the outside linebacker to that side.
10 plays, 84 yards, and an excellent response to the Yale touchdown. Remember, Yale has scored on 2 consecutive drives. They're spending much of the first half locked at 0. It's now all tied up at 14. Paul Burmeister and Ross Tucker in the booth. Happy to have the company of Kurt Warner. Don't want to hex anything, but I like to say future Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner. You can act like you didn't hear it. We talked him into sticking around for one more segment. Kurt's son is here, being recruited by both schools as a wide receiver. Which offense do you like the best here so far?
Well, we haven't seen a lot of throwing up to this point.
Right.
So he continues to look back at me and say, Dad, they're not throwing it a whole bunch.
Yeah, throwing a little bit more here as the game is worn on here as compared to the way it started. Let's check in on the field with Carolyn Madden.
Hey, Paul, just a quick observation from the Yale sideline after their last touchdown. The players obviously very animated, waving their hands in the air, turning away from the field towards the crowd, urging them on. And the coaches were very quick to come over and say, everybody calm down. We've got a lot left to fight for. You can celebrate 35 minutes from now. They couldn't contain their enthusiasm, but at the same time, you see after that Harvard touchdown, a very different scene here. So the momentum swings based on what Harvard's capable of. Paul?
Carolyn, thank you. Both teams done a nice job of responding to the scores by the other, coming right back and answering the scores. There's the success on offense happening for both teams now. This is Deshaun Salter, and he's jumped right at the 25-yard line. Yale's last 2 drives, you see what they've done. First 6 drives, not a lot in the last 2. Over 100 yards and also 14 points. A touchdown from Rawlings to Klubnik to start the second half. That came after the Alan Lamar touchdown run late in the first. And this is 2nd down and 6. Little option game, and Rawlings keeps it himself out to the 29-yard line.
Now, Kurt, I heard a rumor that way back in the day, the Iowa Hawkeyes picked the guy next to you over you. Is that true? Something like that?
It is 100% true.
A little birdie told me
My
that.
son and I were talking about that as we were walking up here because he visited Iowa last week, and I told him, I said, they didn't recruit me because they recruited some other guy from their hometown, and it happens to be the guy standing next to me right now.
This has become a very popular story.
Paul, will you get offended if I say Iowa chose poorly?
No. I get it. I understand. I mean, I said future Hall of Fame quarterback. There's only one guy here who could be described that way. Know how it goes. There's Deshaun Salter jumping over. I remember, Kurt, I remember you at Cedar Rapids Regis as a quarterback, but I remember you mostly as a baseball player and basketball player, to my point of how kids should play every sport they can these days.
I try to force my kids to play more than one sport because I think it helps them, even if they want to play football for a career. All those other sports help them in so many different ways, from workouts, footwork, and just the mentality of playing different roles. And so you're right, I was a basketball player first and actually wanted to play basketball in college. I actually chose right by going the football route, but basketball was my first love.
Rawlings in the Yale offense on the move, flipped it outside to Schofield. Great hit by the Harvard defense, and Schofield kept his feet for a little while, made a positive gain out of it to bring up 2nd down here.
You have to be impressed. I mean, this is a true freshman quarterback handing off to a true freshman running back, and 88 and 14, making most of the plays as receivers are both freshmen as well. So Yale looks like they're set up pretty well for the next few years.
How real of a thing do you think at any level is momentum right now? We're talking about Yale having the momentum, coming in as the underdogs and not supposed to be tied, but here we are at 14-14.
Well, I mean, momentum is huge, and you see it at every level in all games. And so what you love about the NFL is that anybody can win any given Sunday. It definitely happens in a rivalry game.
Alan Lamar out of the backfield to the left. Nice catch there to bring up 3rd down and a little less than 2.
And you guys know so much about winning and losing is the little things, right? So you come out here, and even though the records, aren't as similar as oftentimes they are, but that doesn't mean there's a big discrepancy in the talent on both sides. And if you come out and play and execute, you can beat anybody anytime out.
3rd down and 2 now. Opportunity we've seen Kurt Rawlings run in the past. Keeps it again, cuts it back. Wow. Nifty running for a first down.
Harvard could not have played that better. They had 3 guys out there like they knew it was coming, but Rawlings doing a really nice job sticking his foot in the ground and getting upfield. Look at the 3 Harvard Crimson out there. The problem is that they were all outside. You know, they had guys like Camargo outside. Langston Ward should have played that inside out. Would have been able to make the play.
It's amazing how big of an offense that is for really all the college offenses now, Kurt. I mean, was that even a play you had at Northern Iowa? I know we didn't employ it at Iowa. From the pocket now, Rawlings downfield to Shelfie, almost an incomplete, but the ride option, the quarterback keep, is a staple for everybody now.
It is, and like I said, now you're saying to yourself, we want our best athlete to touch the ball every single play. So those guys that were the best athletes, running backs and wide receivers back when I played, now are becoming quarterbacks. And so you're right, the zone reads and those option type plays have become a staple in so many offenses, and you're seeing it start to enter the NFL as well.
Second down 10 now coming up for Yale. Paul Burmeister, Ross Tucker in the booth, Carolyn Mano on the field, and Kurt Warner, the third in the booth here. And a nice job there by the Harvard defense. Rounding up Alan Lamar. Further proof, Ross, and also Kurt, that Kurt Rawlings going to have to step it up, going to be forced to do a little bit more with his arm here in the second half, it appears.
That is the strength of Harvard's defense. That defensive line up front, veteran group. Several of those guys have been starting for years, and the most talented of them, number 99, DJ Bailey's only a sophomore.
Third down and 13, Kurt, you got a good call here?
That's really good calls from 3rd and 13, especially when you can't use that zone read as a fake to be able to get behind the defense.
3 wideouts to his right. That's where he looks underneath to Miles Gaines. It's a pitch and a catch, but it's well short of the first down. Why not go for it? What do you think?
Well, and again, I think when you're the underdog and you're in a situation like this, you can see a lot of things come out, whether it be the onside kick or a fake in a situation like this to try to catch the Crimson off guard.
Be a real good place on the field for a fake punt, although at this point, with all of the special teams tricks that Yale's had, you got to think Harvard's ready for it.
Interesting formation here. In the end, they punted away. Wow. An excellent job by the Bulldogs there, pinning them inside the 5-yard line, and all 3 phases, offense, defense, and special teams, been pretty good for Yale so far.
Especially special teams. They have dominated that phase of the game so far.
Hey, Kurt, great to spend time with you.
Good to see you guys as well.
Thanks for hanging out with us. That's Kurt Warner here on a recruiting weekend. We recruited him to the booth. We'll set him free. Back here to the game, all locked at 14 late in the third, right after.
33rd playing of the game. Yale and Harvard all tied at 14 as Harvard looking to clinch a piece of the Ivy League crown with a win today. They sit right now at 5-1, joining Penn and Princeton. Penn all over Cornell, while Princeton having a lot of issues with Dartmouth. They were trailing a little bit earlier. There you see Penn up by a couple of touchdowns in the 4th quarter. And as for Princeton, still down at home to Dartmouth 14-7.
You know, this is basically like torturing me every time you guys show that score right now, right?
I thought you were just impartial.
Well,
didn't care anymore.
I'm impartial for this game that we're calling right now, but if you're showing me a game that I'm not calling, I'm not the color commentator, I'm not as impartial for that one.
So for those who know the Ivy League and the way it's gone this year, Ross, this score is a bit of a surprise. For all those just tuning in, what has Yale done so well to be right here late in the 3rd quarter?
All 3 phases. Defensively, they've done a really good job shutting down Harvard's run. They've made just enough plays offensively, and special teams have been huge.
Harvard 7-2 and Yale 2-7 coming into this one. Quick moves there by Adam Scott. And he's run out of bounds just as he crossed that 5-yard line. So it was 0-0, Ross, late in the 2nd quarter. Charlie Booker touchdown, Alan Lamar touchdown. That's the way we ended the first half. And then Reed Klubnik hauled one in from Kurt Rawlings to put Yale up 14-7. And then a touchdown pass from Joe Viviano tied the game at 14 on the next drive. Nice hole opened up front there by the Harvard front.
Both teams have really started to find their groove offensively. And now Harvard's in third and very short. We'll see if Yale can come up with a big stop. They've got a veteran group of defensive linemen and linebackers. Now would be a good time for a tackle for loss.
And that last gain is 6, third down and less than a yard. Samar Smith, the tailback to the left of Viviano. And there's a Harvard first down across that 15-yard line. Penalty marker is down on the 17.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, number 38, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Darius Menorah, senior captain in his 40th game, called for the face mask.
Second in the nation with just 39 penalties coming into this game. You'll see 38 right there. He just yanks a little bit of Samar Smith's face mask. Actually, a lot of it. Samar Smith might have been able to break that if not for that face mask.
Anthony Ferkser, short motion, had his first catch of the game on the last drive. This is Adam Scott on the reverse. Out to the 40-yard line. Well set up.
Really nice play by Matt Opplinger right there. If Opplinger doesn't make that play, Scott might take that to the house. He had a convoy in front of him, led by the quarterback, Joe Viviano. The center, Schultz, was out there. You'll see Opplinger, though, just gets off that block right there of the tight end Ferkser to make the play. Otherwise, Scott might have gone a long way.
Adam Scott's played in only the last 4.5 games, averaging 7 catches per game in those appearances. It's Foster. It's just across the 40-yard line, no gain.
They're going to give him the first down. He didn't gain very much, but they're going to give it to him.
Gained just enough to pick up the first. Harvard offense keeps the chains moving after this drive continued because of the face mask call. Darius Menorah. Viviano with the touchdown pass earlier in this quarter to Ryan Halverson, tied at 14. Yale coming on the blitz. Viviano sees some open space, accelerates, slides just before he got to the 50. He'll be 2 yards short of the first down after a gain of 8.
That is what he does best. Does a really nice job, too, of not taking some unnecessary shots and some hits. Harvard is on the move. But can you imagine telling Tony Reno and Yale that they'd be tied going into the fourth quarter? I'm pretty sure, Paul, they would have taken it.
Now here's what's coming in the fourth quarter. A chance for Harvard to claim a piece of the Ivy League Conference Championship. And a chance for Yale to define its season with a win over its biggest rival. The fourth quarter of the game coming up next. This is coming to play, and all tied with Harvard 14-14. Paul Burmeister, Ross Tucker, Carolyn Mano enjoying a perfect day here in Cambridge. Sellout crowd, 31,662. 133rd playing of the game. What was 0-0 late in the second quarter is now 14-14 heading into the final quarter. Joe Viviano, we've seen a little bit of everything from him so far, Ross. They started out very conservative. 1 pass completion into the second quarter. He's come on a little bit, but he'll need to come on even more to break this tie.
What a performance so far by those Yale defenders to be in this spot. Can you imagine getting a chance in the last game when you're 2-7 to make your season?
And end a 9-game losing streak against Harvard. This is Charlie Booker. And that's enough for a Harvard first down, gain of 4. Booker's been the go-to back in this game for Harvard and also the last 4 games. 17 carries, 14 and 15 in the previous 3, and that one This one here for a first down.
Harvard very methodical. Sometimes they like to run up tempo, no huddle. Here they went with kind of a muddle huddle, but still taking their time.
3 wide receivers to the right of Viviano. Had those 3 interceptions last week. Hasn't thrown a pick yet today. Under pressure, just fires that one away.
You almost called that one again, Paul. Viviano under pressure just threw that one kind of up for grabs. Foye Oluokun, the safety for Yale, gets a fingertip on it, not able to catch it though.
And adding to how much this would mean to Tony Reno, he spent time on Tim Murphy's staff here, coaching for Harvard, just before he became the head coach 5 years ago here at Yale.
Yale offensive coordinator Joe Conlon was on that staff as well as Harvard's offensive line coach. So there's a lot of behind enemy line stuff going on.
Charlie Booker rolls out to the 42-yard line. That's a gain of 5 to bring up 3rd down and 5. Yale's 9-game winning streak in this series, the longest in the 133-year span.
We asked Tony Reno about that, Paul, and he said, look, you know, Penn's beaten Harvard once or twice. Princeton's beaten Harvard once or twice. Nobody else has. You know, everybody's got a long losing streak to Harvard at this point.
His senior class right now 35-4. The previous 2 went 36-4. Here comes the blitz on 3rd and 5. Viviano in trouble. Finds a way to stay alive, and what a throw and catch. Justice Shelton Mosley.
That is an absolutely incredible play by both Viviano and Shelton Mosley because Yale could not have defended it better. Opplinger has contained there. Viviano just able to shake him a little bit. And then Shelton Mosley, almost a back shoulder throw. Watch Shelton Mosley, top of your screen. He sees the scramble rule. Scramble rule, you take off. Then he stops, comes back for the ball, bobbles it. You got to be kidding me.
That was a gain of 16. Here's Ferkser, his second catch of the second half down to the 15-yard line.
Well, that might have been the play of the game so far because Yale had that defended extremely well. A sack or incompletion would have most likely led to a punt for Harvard. Instead, they are knocking on the door. They've got a good field goal kicker as well.
I said moments ago, Viviano has to step it up. Well, how about that? 16 yards to Justice Shelton Mosley. Follows that up 11 yards to Anthony Ferkser. And it's 1st down and 10 from the 15. Samar Smith, nothing going around the left side. Cal Mullen there for Yale. Also Marty Mesta. Loss of 5 yards.
Take a look at Marty Mesta. He's the defensive end of that side. They're going to try to run outside zone to him. He knocks the guard back, fights him off, and makes the play. He just split the tackle guard gap right there. Terrific play by Mesta.
We've done 3 Yale games now this season, Ross, and Marty Mesta's name has come up a lot in each one of them, along with the other end, Cal Mullen. Back to the air for Viviano. Little flip. But Samar Smith caught him a little off guard. Incomplete. 3rd down and 15 coming up.
Curious to see whether or not Yale brings pressure here. It's an obvious passing down, 3rd and 15. In comes Shelton Mosley, Adam Scott, and the receivers. Do you force Joe Viviano to make a stick throw from the pocket? Or do you bring pressure and try to heat him up a little bit? They've had some success with pressure. Looks like they're sitting back right now.
No extra pressures. They rush 4. Penalty marker comes in. A second penalty marker comes in as Viviano is run out of bounds by Darius Minora.
We mentioned this earlier, but when the quarterback runs or escapes, the offensive lineman is not expecting that. So if you got a good hold or a grab on the defensive lineman and the quarterback runs around the outside, then you're going to be restricting movement. They're going to throw the flag.
So if it is holding against Harvard, would you accept it if you're Yale? Because you're going to have 4th and 15.
I accept it because
Holding.
Let's let him announce it.
Offense. Number 79. 10-yard penalty. Replay. 3rd down.
I'll tell you why I accept it, Paul. I do not want to concede the field goal. And pushing it back to a 47-yard field goal. Look at the top of your screen. You'll see right here, right where Viviano tries to escape, Rich had a grab on Mullen. Mullen did a pretty good job of drawing that penalty as well. Very little chance that Harvard gets the first down here, and you might have given yourself an opportunity to force a very long field goal. 47 yards is no gimme.
And maybe you call a play not with trying to get 25 yards, but trying to get 10 or 12 to give yourself a better chance at a field goal. Viviano comes underneath, and there are those extra yards. Adam Scott down to the 18-yard line. And now you're looking at a 35-yard attempt after that 12-yard gain.
Still like the decision there to take the penalty because, yes, this gives Harvard a better chance at the field goal. But if there's a drop there, if there's an incompletion, bad throw, then they would have had a really long field goal and not a whole lot of downside.
Jake McIntyre. Did he leave it out wide? Yes, he did. And we're still tied at 14. Playing for the draw there, Ross, and it didn't work.
He has had a terrific year, but you never know what happens in a rivalry game. Yale's defense holds again. 11 minutes to go for a potential monumental upset.
14 all tied up in the game for the 133rd playing. Tony Reno right now 0-4 against Harvard, but an excellent chance looking at that first win. 11:01 left, all tied. Time now for our Subway Fresh Take. Kind of slow going for much of the game, but the Yale defense, Ross, really kept the Bulldogs in it through the first quarter and a half.
Yeah, I think the Subway Fresh Take is just Yale pulling out all the stops and playing probably their best game of the year in all three phases. You get the easy touchdown, the onside kick to start the second half. Rawlings going deep to fellow freshman Klubnik for the huge touchdown with the pass interference penalty. And the Fresh Take is we got a heck of a game with 11 minutes to go.
You saw the touchdowns there, Alan Lamar, Reed Klubnik. You also saw the excellent catch by Leo Haney coming back near the goal line to keep a drive going. And Blake Horn executing the onside kick to start the second half. What a play he made. Alan Lamar keeping his feet. Excellent effort to pick up 8. And he's been good every game we've seen him. Some of the entire team efforts haven't always been good from Yale, but number 5, the true freshman from Olive Branch, Mississippi, has been good every time. Called by the Harvard coaching staff exceptional. And a nice run there to bring up second down 2. And there's a first down. Miles Gaines hauls it in from Kurt Rawlings, picks up 4. First down, Bulldogs.
Yale doing a nice job of letting the play clock wind down as well. You know, when you're the underdog, why not? You want as few possessions as possible, especially when it's close. Rawlings just fired that one out there to Gaines with a big game against Dartmouth earlier in the year.
Kurt Rawlings was a backup, actually a third-string quarterback to start the season. 3 weeks ago, entered a scoreless game in the second quarter at Columbia, led 3 second-quarter touchdowns, and now he starts his 3rd game. Really, the month of November has been his as the starting quarterback. Comes underneath to Gaines, his 2nd catch in a row, couple of cutbacks. More momentum coming for the Yale Bulldogs as the late penalty flag comes in after a gain of 8.
I think we got another face mask here. The Yale coaching staff was begging for it.
Personal foul. Face mask. Defense. 15-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Yale will now be operating inside of Harvard territory.
Rawlings once again showing impressive patience, gets it out there. Now watch right here. Just a little bit of the face mask right there by Luke Hutton. They're going to call that. That's another break for the Bulldogs. They're in Harvard territory.
Sean Salter now the tailback. And just as he got the football, Richie Ryan with a tackle for Harvard after a gain of 1. Penn on top now by 22. If they win, they have a share of the Ivy League Conference title. Same goes for Dartmouth. Right now they trail at halftime, or pardon me, same goes for Princeton. They trail to Dartmouth by 4.
Can you imagine that bus ride for Penn from Ithaca back to Philadelphia if both Harvard and Princeton lose? Oh my goodness. I wish I could be on that bus.
Right? Now Harvard right now just 1 loss in the conference. Win means a conference title. And 9 consecutive wins as Kurt Rawlings just flings that one away. 9 consecutive wins over Yale.
You can't often say this, Paul, because Harvard would get a piece of the championship with a win, but I'd argue this game means even more to Yale. You know, if they win this game, Harvard's won 3 straight Ivy League championships. And if Yale ends this streak, are you kidding me?
It's been a successful season for Harvard no matter what. It'll be a much better season if they win, but you can't say the same for Yale. This would clearly be the defining part of their season. Right now facing 3rd down and 9. Plenty of time. Reed Klubnik did catch it. He's going to be a little bit shy of the 1st down. It'll be 4th and a little less than a yard.
He really has good hands because he caught that in cut and got slammed by a couple of different Harvard Crimson defenders and held on. And it looks like Yale's going to go. This is what you call a big play. They got the big back Salter in, but remember, Rawlings is pretty good with his feet as well.
Yale right now 1 for 1 on 4th down. Sean Salter, the running back behind Rawlings. Salter has it, and he is right at the stick.
Looks like he got it based on the spot by the head linesman coming in from the bottom.
Just enough to keep this drive going. Gutsy call, and it pays off. That's why you bring in the 230-pound hammer right there. And look at the Yale student section. They're starting to feel it. Deshaun Salter was met before he got to the first down.
Boy, that was a heck of a lick by Tanner Lee, the safety for Harvard, to come all the way down off the hash and get in on that play.
Alan Lamar back in at tailback on 1st down and 10. Rawlings with the double move. Boy, did he have J.P. Shelfie. The pressure got to Rawlings and forced him to underthrow it.
And it looks like Shelfie is injured. They got exactly what they wanted. It was the pump and go against Rayshawn McGee, the senior corner. And Rawlings just threw it a little too far. Watch, stop. Oh, great route right there by the freshman Shelfie. Tries to lay out for it and landed very hard trying to make that catch.
Back to the game right after this.
More time at that play right there. J.P. Shelfie, the true freshman wide receiver at the top, working against Rayshawn McGee. What a great move. Stop and go, lays out, just gets his right arm on it. Not able to make the catch. Look at that route, Paul. Perfect. Just not able to get it just a little bit off between he and Rawlings. Good news to see him walk off under his own power.
Richie Ryan providing the pressure to Kurt Rawlings to force him to throw it in a way he didn't want to. And a great sell job back to the route you just showed by Shelfie. So many times you see a receiver rush it right when he's selling the initial cut.
Yeah.
He sold it, he stopped. It's everything you wanted. You just had the pressure to make the throw inaccurate. Penn 42-20. They're guaranteed a piece of the Ivy League title. We'll see if Harvard can say the same after the next 7:35. 2nd and 10 for Rawlings. comes underneath. Nice catch there by Robert Clemens. Right at the first down marker. And that is enough. First down, Yale.
Heck of a job by Clemens to keep his footing there.
Nice catch, too.
Rawlings put a lot on that. That's a 5-yard throw. It puts that right hand down, gets just enough to move the sticks. That balance right there, sticking his right hand in the ground to jump forward was the difference between a first down or not.
Tough ball for a receiver to see with the line right there like that, coming out with that kind of velocity. So excellent job by Clemens. Another first down for Yale. Rawlings keeps it himself. That's his 9th carry of the afternoon. He's run for 61 yards. Gain of 4. Look at the Ivy League standings. So Penn 6-1. Congratulations. Harvard trying to follow suit. Princeton right now trailing against Dartmouth as they try to join the party atop the Ivy League Conference.
They have to be impressed by Ray Priori and the job he's done at Penn. 2 years now as the head coach there, 2 Ivy League titles.
Second down, 6 now. 15 out of 28 is Kurt Rawlings. Keeps it himself. This is his 10th run. Another Yale first down. Kurt Rawlings, 10 carries now for over 70 yards.
He's doing a really nice job with these fakes. A lot of the Harvard defense thinks that Lamar has it, he doesn't, and Leo Haney again on the outside, the tight end, getting the seal block. You gotta love the freshman telling the crowd to get it going. I don't blame him. He never played in front of a sold-out crowd like this before, 30,000 plus.
And Kurt telling us during the week that leadership to him is showing positive energy during the week no matter what else is happening in your life. Well, how about leading a touchdown drive at Harvard in the 4th quarter? Alan Lamar fighting for extra yardage inside the 5-yard line.
Oh, man. To be young.
Right? And to be a Yale fan right now. Look at the joy on that side of the stadium. 31,600 sold out here.
Rawlings has been so good with his legs throughout this game and on this drive. Would not be surprised if this is yet another read option play where Rawlings has the ability to pull it and take it himself.
Also has Alan Lamar to his right. He has a touchdown already. And this is Lamar. Met just as he got to the 3-yard line. So the run game has been working pretty well, Ross, with Lamar and also with the quarterback Rawlings. Do you give him a chance to throw it right here on 3rd and goal?
You know, there are some read option plays, Paul, where you have a pass option off of it. You kind of think here at this point in the field that that would be open. If Rawlings puts the ball in Lamar's belly and then looks for a slant from one of his outside receivers breaking in.
Yale with only 2 wins this season, and they haven't beaten Harvard in the last 9 tries. And Harvard wants a timeout. Both sides will have a chance to talk about what's coming up on 3rd down and goal. 4:19 left, all tied at 14. 4:19 left, 3rd down and goal. Yeah, that look. That's how Harvard's feeling right now, trying to keep Yale out of the end zone and trying to keep the game all tied. What are you looking for here, run or a run-pass option?
Yeah, I think there's really only 2 options. It's either going to be some type of zone read play for Rawlings and Lamar, or you get Rawlings on the move and see if he can throw the ball or run it in. I like getting him on the flank somehow.
For 74 yards. The tailback to his left, Alan Lamar, has 1 touchdown already. From the pocket to the air, Reed Klubnik. Touchdown Yale. Had it just long enough, and the Bulldogs take the lead.
Well, there is no replay in the Ivy League, and that might be a good thing for Yale. We'll see it. Has the ball 2 feet down, reached it across, and then the ball comes out. Harvard was saying it should have been an incomplete pass. I think good call on the touchdown. What a play by the Bulldogs.
Jim Murphy has seen the Kurt Rawlings to Reed Klubnik connection work twice for a touchdown in the second half. And how about that? Yale, only 2 wins and 9 consecutive losses to Harvard, in the lead, 21-14 with just 4:14 left. Third down and goal. We thought it might be a run. Kurt Rawlings outside the pocket, but he stands in, shuffles a bit, and there's another freshman, Reed Klubnik.
Rawlings once again showing patience, good protection. Klubnik makes the grab, reached it across the plane of the goal line, and they are absolutely feeling it on the Yale sideline right now, and rightfully so.
Quite a finish coming in the game right now. Yale on top by 7. Welcome back to the Raymond James Ivy League game of the week, and what a game it is. The game. Yale now on top of Harvard, 21-14. Number 14 is Reed Klubnik, true freshman out of Austin, Texas. 2 second-half touchdowns. The Bulldogs have a 1-touchdown lead.
You just get the sense, looking at the Yale students, they are ready to erupt. 9 straight times they have lost to their hated rivals from Cambridge in the game. And right now they're 4 minutes and 14 seconds away from a season-making victory.
To show you how far they've come in the last month, we had them against Penn, and it wasn't even a game, Ross. Penn, one of the teams that will at least share, if not own, the Ivy League Conference title. They could have named the score against Yale last month. That's where they were a month ago in a 42-7 loss. And here they are leading Harvard 21-14. Harvard not only thinking about winning against its biggest rival, but also claiming a share of the conference crown. Levance Northington, the freshman. Out to the 18-yard line. Today's Kay Jewelers go-to guy is...
What do you think it is? Kurt Rawlings has been the guy so far. True freshman quarterback playing as well as he has. Really, really impressive. His first game. All these freshmen have done a really nice job. First time playing in front of a crowd or an atmosphere like this.
Joe Viviano, the senior, playing in his final game, his first start in the game. 12 out of 20 right now, 161 yards and a touchdown. No interceptions. He threw 3 last week. This is Adam Scott. Pushed out of bounds right there at the 20-yard line.
Still plenty of time here in the fourth quarter. 4 minutes and change. Harvard has 2 timeouts. The clock not really a factor right now.
As for Viviano's wideout so far, Scott, the top one with 4 catches. Tight end Anthony Ferkser has 2. And his number 1 threat, Shelton Mosley, only has 2 grabs, but good enough for 50 yards. Viviano to the left. Late penalty flag came in right there at the line of scrimmage.
We've said it a number of times. Usually, Paul, that ends up being holding when the quarterback scrambles because the offensive lineman doesn't realize it and continues to grab and hold on.
10-yard penalty. Still second down.
Just escalating the challenge now for Harvard.
Well, now if you're Yale, you really don't want to let anything go over your heads or go deep. See if we can take a look at it. He scrambles, and right there, the center, right there, they get Schultz, the sophomore center that they're really high on.
Second down, 17 from the 11-yard line. Long way to go for the Crimson. And the Yale defense there to stuff the run game. Opplinger makes another play, and look at the response from the Yale crowd.
A lot of times a stunt hurts you against a draw, but they ran a tackle and stunt to that side. The tackle Mesta went up the field, the end Opplinger looped inside. Sometimes that helps you out on a draw, but the looper Opplinger comes in and meets Booker right in the backfield. It's probably screen draw time here for Harvard. We'll see if they have the guts to throw it deep down the field.
You gotta be careful here. 3rd down and 20. Adam Scott. And he's going nowhere. Only makes it out to the 13-yard line. The clock is ticking, and on comes the punt team for Harvard.
They really want to try to punt this as quickly as they can, because now time is a factor.
Jason Alessi is deep for Yale. And he's standing inside of Harvard territory. Their catch at the 49. So 2:21 left. Two timeouts remaining for Harvard. Kurt Rawlings in his 3rd start, his 1st start in the game. We talked about it top of the broadcast. He was sitting at the Yale Bowl as a high school senior for this one last year. And he's making it happen pretty well with his legs and also some nice passes.
Can't help but be impressed with the poise he's shown a number of times, hanging tough in the pocket, made some clutch throws right there. Once again, not panicking, giving the ball to fellow freshman Klubnik, and now I think we'll see a lot of Alan Lamar, the freshman running back from Mississippi, and Rawlings running himself.
And this is Lamar. Cuts it back up, just hangs on to the ball, goes down at the 45. And no timeout called yet.
Boy, that's surprising.
Shocking.
You should call timeout on 1st down, because you never know. They might elect to throw it on 3rd down, or maybe they fumble on 2nd down. You really need to stop the clock right there. Questionable decision by Harvard head coach Tim Murphy. The one thing as an offensive lineman you're taught, Paul, keep your hands inside. A holding penalty here is devastating. Stops the clock and takes away your chance to get the 1st down.
Nice job of Yale running that play clock down to 2. Lamar again. Extra yards to the 42, and there's your timeout. Only 1:30 left.
They get a 1st down here, this game's over.
And then what are you doing with that timeout? I mean, it's amazing they didn't use it there after the 1st down run. So 1 left. And 3rd down coming up here. Kurt Rawlings a year ago led his high school team in Bel Air, Maryland, undefeated record. And now right to the game, his 3rd start, and on 3rd down and 2, basically to seal the game.
Such an advantage to have a quarterback like him that has those legs. You see Harvard, they've won 3 straight Ivy titles. You see that in the background, the standings right now, and you see the banners. With a win, they'd win 4 straight. Nobody's done that since Penn in the early 80s, but that's looking dicey right now at best. Let's see if Rawlings gives it to Lamar or pulls it and takes it around the edge himself.
Got to get 2, they get 3. Harvard only has 1 timeout left. Lamar right up the middle, and he's going to be about a half a yard short. Clock stops. Timeout called by Harvard after a gain of 1.
Interesting decision time coming now for Tony Reno. I think you got to punt it away. You got to make them go the length of the field. You end the game if you get the 1st down here, but they need a touchdown. They don't need a field goal. They need 7 points. I think you got to punt it away.
You trust your punt team to hold up, allow your punter to get it off, and play defense, knowing that Harvard has no timeouts left.
The one point that should be made there is Harvard was awfully close to blocking a punt earlier in this game. Although you'd think Yale would max protect this one. Take no chances.
They're talking a whole lot there with Kurt Rawlings. He doesn't look like a quarterback who's coming off the field on 4th down.
Well, I see the punter coming out there. Alex Galland is out there.
There he is. He's out there. Okay. So 4th and less than a yard. Punt team is out there. Never been more important protection on a punt for this Yale team. And they get it away. Shelton Mosley lets it bounce. Scoots into the end zone for a touchback. So 1:13 left. Tony Reno telling his troops, go play some defense and we win the game.
Harvard is down where the Yale student section is. It is about to get loud. They've got a little over a minute 13 to go, 80 yards. The one thing you don't want to do if you're Yale is give up anything cheap and deep. Make them earn it. They don't have any more timeouts to stop the clock. Corners need to play outside leverage. If they do catch it, keep them inside the field of play.
Yale fans haven't had much to celebrate this year with only 2 wins. They haven't been able to celebrate a win against Harvard in nearly a decade as they've lost the last 9 games in the game. No timeouts for Harvard. Viviano keeps it himself, rushed out of bounds. Pushed out by Opplinger. 1:06 left. Gain of 3.
Opplinger is spying Viviano right now, number 22. He's not really even rushing. They're really only rushing 3. Opplinger is slowing his rush and just staring down Viviano. Does not want to let him buy time and make a big play deep down the field.
Viviano right now 14 out of 22 for 170 and 1 touchdown and no picks. Yale brings 4. A completion underneath. Ryan Halverson had a touchdown earlier. There he gets 7.
The key there is getting out of bounds too. They're going to give him the first down and he got out of bounds. It looked like Malcolm Dixon was outside, was going to try to make the tackle in the field of play, but was not able to.
Harvard trailed earlier 14-7, came back to tie it up. Now down 21-14. Again, Viviano flushed out, comes back, finds Justice Shelton Mosley, incomplete. Clock stops, 52 seconds left.
Even if he catches that ball, he's down. His knee was already down. He would have been short of the first down, so that would have been a bunch of time off the clock before Harvard could have a chance to spike it.
We talked about what's on the line for Yale ending that 9-game losing streak, but Harvard, they've won 3 consecutive league titles. A 4th one on the line here in this drive. Viviano going to keep it himself. First down out to the 47-yard line. Clock will stop while they move the chains.
That time they didn't really have Opplinger spying Viviano. He's got to get a couple yards off the ball so he can run free and make that play.
Yale not showing any pressure on this drive. Again, rushing just 4. They come underneath. Charlie Booker, completion, but the clock ticking down to 25. No timeouts for the Crimson. All that for just 4 yards.
Yeah, you can't make that throw.
Not without any timeouts left.
That's a trade Yale will make all day. They're going to have to get chunks of yardage here. Yale's not going to give him the sideline, or at least shouldn't.
What a difference this season. How different it would feel with a win against Yale coming in at just 2 and 7. This is 3rd and 6. Viviano in trouble, gets it off. 14 seconds left, 4th down coming.
Well, that's a heck of a job by Viviano just to get rid of that ball. The game would have pretty much been over right there. Harvard couldn't spike it on 4th down. Might not have been able to get a play off. Just throwing an incomplete pass at least gives the Crimson a chance here.
4th down and 6. Tim Murphy's won 9 in a row against the Yale Bulldogs.
Something is not right out there, but Harvard doesn't have a timeout to be able to sort it out. And the play clock's down to 5.
Viviano directing traffic now down to 2 seconds. They're not going to get the play off.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
A little more time to talk about it. We're seeing Harvard with only 14 points, Ross, against this Yale team that came in last in the Ivy League at 36 points per game.
Incredible. That's why they throw out all the cliches when you're playing games like this. Throw the records out, stats don't matter. When you've lost 9 straight times to your rival, it might as well be 90.
Justice Shelton Mosley wide to the left, and Anthony Ferkser inside to the right. Viviano in trouble, incomplete, and that'll do it. The Yale Bulldogs about to end the 9-game losing streak to Tim Murphy and Harvard. Tony Reno 0-4 in his tenure against Harvard, about to taste victory in the game for the first time.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 83, helmet off on the field, 15-yard penalty. This is number 83's first unsportsmanlike of the game. 1st down.
The emotions for Tony Reno. Harvard can't stop the clock.
Those students look ready to pounce right now.
Nothing's keeping them off the field.
Very emotional moment, really, for everybody involved here.
Victory formation for Yale in the game, and that's how their season will end. Now, how do you make 3 and 6, 3 and 7 feel good, Ross? You come to Cambridge and win 21-14. The streak in the game is over.
What a scene.
For the last 9 seasons, they've watched Harvard celebrate this win. And now Yale with its 3rd win this season, the unexpected victory. And it was no fluke, Ross. Offense, defense, special teams, solid the whole game through.
No, they deserve to win this game, and they deserve a ton of credit. Harvard had another stellar year, but not only does Yale get the win and end the 9-game losing streak. Think about how many seniors came through Yale and never got a chance to beat Harvard. And think about how excited that all these current members of the Yale Bulldogs and the students are that they get to experience it. That's a big drop there. They're all contemplating, do I want to drop or not? That looks pretty high.
Conservative celebration there.
They're worried about some sprained ankles, I
think. Slowly piling onto the field, our Carolyn Mano has settled up next to the winning coach, Tony Reno. Carolyn.
Coach, congratulations. I saw you get a little bit emotional. It's been a long time coming for you. What are you feeling right now as you finally get this win?
Well, being in this game for a long time as assistant at Yale and then at Harvard, and then then back at Yale as a head coach. I mean, it's a tremendous effort by our team. We've got a great campus community. I'm just proud of our players and how they played and how they handled all the adversity in the game, and they just kept finishing. And I challenged them all week to have their best performance of the year, and they really did. And very proud of our football team.
You go into halftime playing really well, but wondering if you're going to be able to keep that momentum going after what has happened in the past. How proud are you of the way that the guys responded immediately at the start of the second half?
Yeah, we have a one play at a time mentality. The guys really did a great job with that.
We're about to get trampled out here, so I won't keep you too much longer, but this is a team that many people thought had absolutely no chance of winning this game. What does that speak to about this rivalry and what's possible and the way that this rivalry between these two teams motivates a team like Yale?
Shocked the world what we did. Thank you.
Thanks. Paul?
Carolyn, Tony, thank you very much. Yale celebrates a victory, something they haven't been able to do the last 9 games. We've been complimenting the defense all game, Ross, but the offense good enough to come up with a pair of touchdown passes from Kurt Rawlings to Reed Klubnik. Can't forget the courageous calls and execution, though. The 4th and 3 deep late in the first half, and then the onside kick to start the second half was huge.
Well, they were not afraid to roll the dice a couple times. The fake field goal, the onside kick, and it worked. And sometimes that's what you do in a rivalry game. Sometimes that's what you do when you're the big underdog. And look at the smiles on those guys' faces and the students. When you've lost 9 straight times, you think of the Army-Navy game, the game, Michigan-Ohio State. When it is a big rivalry like this and you've lost that many times, it is a feeling of unbelievable relief and elation when you finally get it done.
That's what it means to the Yale faithful as they celebrate on the field with the players, all the smiles and the joy. Here's what it means to the Ivy League overall. Penn already at 6-1. Part of the Ivy League conference title is theirs, if not all of it. So Harvard, they're not going to experience it this season. 3 consecutive years winning the Ivy League. They're in second at 5-2. Princeton has been trailing to Dartmouth. They were trailing at halftime. They did just take the lead in the second half. So we'll see if Princeton can join Penn.
Oh, man.
But why not celebrate that way? Yale Bulldogs.
It's like we're at the fraternities right now.
Dancing, and tears, and smiles.
Oh, man. To be young.
Oh, man. To knock off your top rival the last time you had the pads on this season.
You have to be happy for the Yale Bulldogs. That community, that team, the coaches, the players. Reed Klubnik, true freshman. He's undefeated in the game so far.
But Tony Reno mentioned how much it means to him, not just as the head coach, but he coached at Harvard. He was an assistant coach at Yale. And he was 0-4 as the head coach against Harvard.
You know, Paul, earlier this year, I was at the Penn State-Ohio State game. This is the second time to see these guys do the alma mater. Let's hear it.
Ross, the only way a 3-7 season can feel good.
Absolutely incredible. And something everybody out there right now will remember for the rest of their lives.
133rd playing of the game, awfully memorable for Tony Reno and his Yale Bulldogs. They prevent a 10-game winning streak in this series by Harvard. Hard fought, all phases, and some dancing afterwards. Yale comes to Cambridge, finds a way to win 21-14. To 14. Time now for the play of the game, brought to you by Raymond James. Fourth quarter, Kurt Rawlings buying time. There's another freshman, Reed Klubnik. Yes, he hung on, and that's a Yale touchdown. Big go-ahead touchdown. Kurt Rawlings threw the pass. He's celebrating on the field with Carolyn Mano.
Paul, thank you. I'm here with Kurt. Oh, man, congratulations to have this moment as a true freshman. What does this victory mean?
It's a blessing from God. I mean, He kept us all healthy. Gave us all. I don't know. He's blessed us with the greatest team, the greatest tradition ever. This is the biggest tradition in all of football, and it's amazing.
People said that you were a group that was young offensively and that had battled injuries. Did you think that this was possible?
Yeah. Anything's possible. Anything's possible. We have a great team. I mean, it might not have shown the whole season, but we were waiting for it to click, and it clicked tonight. Defense, amazing. And to the seniors, we have amazing seniors. It makes playing football at Yale really worth it. And we just up front all day.
Just a moment ago, Kurt saw his father, and your dad was crying, and he just gave you such a big hug and told him to get a haircut, by the way. When you see your family reacting that way, do you just feel this moment even more?
Yeah, he's my coach. He's been my coach since I was little. He's my high school coach, and he means the world to me. I have the greatest family in the world. I'm so blessed.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks.
Paul?
So much fun to see all the emotion, the freshmen through the seniors of a win like this. And it's not just the emotion for Kurt Rawlings, it's the production during the game was 17 out of 28, 131 yards. Modest, yes, but he also ran for 74 yards, threw 2 touchdowns, and didn't throw an interception.
Unbelievable performance by a freshman quarterback playing in a game like this. He did it with his legs time after time. He also did it running around the edge, got some good blocks on the edge. How about the touch pass to Klubnik? Freshman to freshman for 2 touchdowns. Terrific catch by Klubnik there, and a good job getting the ball in his hands, 2 feet down, reaching across the plane of the goal line for Rawlings, who, what a way to finish your freshman year.
Freshman enthusiasm for Yale. You have that guy right there. You saw the 2 touchdowns to Reed Klubnik. Alan Lamar, also a freshman, scored a touchdown. And you mentioned that trio early in the broadcast, Ross. So on one hand, you're excited for all of them, but I keep thinking about what it would be like to be a senior. The last time you're in pads, you win the biggest game of the season. You don't have to come back to practice ever again after a loss. You don't have to have off-season workouts. Your final experience is right here winning the biggest game of your career.
I would never take my pads off. Never. I would leave those on as long as I possibly could. Maybe even go out tonight with family and friends still in uniform. Look at that.
There we go, his high school coach, his father.
And there's Governor Pataki right there. He wants a picture with the star freshman.
Why not?
All the luminaries came out. That's got to be pretty cool when a guy like George Pataki says, hey, can I get my picture taken with you?
Pretty good day to be a Yale Bulldog.
Does Rawlings know who that is, by the way? That's the question. He's 18 years old.
Head, right?
Yeah. He goes to Yale. He probably knows.
So, Ross, if you're handing out, if you're going to one side of the locker room here for Yale, you can only give out your game balls to the entire defense or the entire offense. Which direction are you going in there?
I'm not doing that. I'm cutting it in thirds. You got to put special teams in there.
But you can't. I'll vote for the defense. I'll vote for the defense, giving up only 14 points. But it couldn't go wrong either way.
Yeah, pretty incredible performance.
Well, the defense right from the start, Ross, it kind of felt in the first quarter like, hey, the Bulldog defense came to play in a much different way than what we got used to. Outstanding catch there on the fake field goal by Haney. That led to the Alan Lamar touchdown. Love this call and the execution right there by Blake Horn. That started the second half. Moments later, it was Rawlings to Reed Klubnik. What a catch that was on pass interference. And Rawlings, 10 carries for 74 yards, was key on the ground.
What a calm, cool customer he is. Even right there, it looked like he was going to maybe try to run with it. He didn't panic. Threw it to another freshman. Man, with the amount of freshmen making plays for Yale today, maybe the Bulldogs are about to go on a streak in this game.
A lot of young talent. bloody ear down there to go along with the jubilant win.
Matt Opplinger with the bloody ear. I think he'll take it. How sweet is it not only to win the game, but to prevent Harvard from getting a piece of the championship? It would have been 4 straight, which had never been done for Harvard.
The previous 2 senior classes for Harvard going 36-4. They finish at 35-5. Top of the Ivy League. Penn's there. They've got a piece of the conference title. We shall see if Princeton joins them. Final score 21-14. Yale finds a way to get it done. Their 3rd win of the season, their 1st win of the series for the first time in the last 10 tries. For Ross and Carolyn, I'm